Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Big Finish Fans. In today's Big Finish Fans, we're talking all things relaunch so far, where we'll be tier listing from January to, I guess, the end of July. This tier list ends, isn't it? With
January 2022.
January 2022.
Starting
Yeah.
with 41, going up to James Robert McCrimmon. Since we've now, each Doctor's had at least 2 box sets.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the right amount of time for them to hit the ground running or not, as we will
we'll discuss.
Yeah, I think there's enough time for them to have proved themselves one way or the other. And it was going to be a fun one just to look into how things have gone over the last year and a half for this relaunch that Big Finish has presented us with.
Yes, indeed. As ever, join with Luke.
Yes, here I am once again.
Here we are. How have you been? How have you been doing? Because I spoke to you last night because we were doing a bit of future project work and videos, which is all exciting.
Well, I mean, one of them's a past one now.
Yeah, one of them's out
today.
Talking about all the Blu-ray stuff that's coming out. So check that out.
After this stream, of course. Don't leave us just yet.
Yeah. We're here on time, so you know.
Or before time even.
Before time, yeah. So we're doing all right. We're doing good.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun bit of a pre-recording there, though.
Yes,
and I think we got a good amount in, really. We got 4 videos in the can, which is quite a bit for us because usually we manage about 2 in a recording session. I think probably about our average.
Yeah, we like to have a waffle as well, but we're able to have a waffle and record, so it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. I mean, we like to talk about Star Wars Black Series. Off air, that seems to be one of our go-to topics. It's like, so how's that collection coming on?
What have you bought recently?
That stuff that most of our viewers, I imagine, you're not too interested in. You're here for the Doctor Who content, which is fair enough. That's sort of what this channel is built around. Big Finish, dollies. You also uploaded a dolly video, didn't you?
Covering the B&M stuff.
It's a smaller wave this time, isn't it?
There's only going to be 6 sets this year. So potentially this could be the last year of B&M. I feel Russell kind of wants to put it back in the main stream market. And I think we're kind of seeing that now because we're seeing like the new Sonic Screwdriver be launched. Multiple versions. And they're selling out left, right, and center. So that's a real good indication for the merch that there's a market, there's a demand. So
that's another video since we last streamed. You reviewed your copy of the new Sonic.
Yes, and I might get the other version just to do a comparison. I think it'd be quite interesting to see, the high end to the, I guess, general mass retail version of it.
Yeah, it's your standard versus your limited again, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Season 12, it's like that.
But Sonic edition. Exciting.
Hello, Dragonbugs, and hello, Daniel Hager. Thank you both.
Hello.
Dragonbug says, was it just me, or was the stream listed as something else earlier? It may have been. That something else will be coming along eventually, but not tonight.
Yeah, we will get around to it.
Good evening, Ben and Luke. How are you guys tonight? I'm good,
very
thank
well.
you, Daniel.
Very well. How are you? How are you doing?
Speaking of the Doctor Who figures, I feel like it's unfair for Resurrection to be skipped, even though the figures haven't been seen for like 10 years. I saw that come up. I think Al Duar put something out on Gallifrey Base or whatever about that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Giving an explanation behind it.
I mean, I've heard rumblings, and this is just a pinch of salt, that there could be a Resurrection set in the same line as the Planet of the Dalek set, with like a Dalek with a flip top dome. So when Davros is obviously injecting the Daleks at the Dalek dome,
that makes sense.
So I feel like there'd be something along those lines, and Al is very good at making us sort of believe one thing and then doing another. But yeah, resurrection's going to happen because at the end of the day, the History of the Daleks set line is therefore the definitive versions of those Daleks.
Yeah, it's sort of feel weird to skip it. But then again, if this is going to be the end of the B&M line, then you'd think maybe History of the Daleks would want to get to the end of the classic series, cover Remembrance.
Well, Remembrance is in the
Resurrection
next
sort
lot.
Of, yeah. Yeah, but as I said, if the next lot is the final wave of B&M, then maybe Resurrection had to slip through the cracks in order to get all the way to the end of Remembrance.
Well, we're gaining a Death Zone Dalek, which I guess is pretty
cool
similar
variant.
to similar to a Resurrection Dalek.
Were you shocked that was a History of the Dalek set? Because we'd heard rumblings about it happening and assumed it would be like the Davros Dalek set from last year that was sort of a bit on the side of the History of the Daleks line rather than actually being a numbered set within that.
Yeah, I thought it would be like the Magician's Apprentice set where we had Capaldi and Davros, something like that. Where again, it's not a part of the history set; it's some of its own fruition. But yeah, it's nice to see it included in a way. It's a nice little oddity.
I'm now sort of wishing they'd go back and do a Space Museum Dalek.
They should
with the lifting top and
Hartnell, yeah, that would be really good.
Maybe even include a stand that says, Dalek, Planet Skaro on the side from the museum if they can.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
That's definitely blowing their budget a bit there, but
hey, they'll have Disney money soon. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
it'll be fine.
I mean, maybe if you're just fitting in Hartnell's head, like something to pop on the top of the Dalek, then the stand can count as a second figure.
Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll work all right. Yeah, be cool.
But I mean, in non-Doctor Who related spheres, something that's tickled my molecules recently.
Okay.
Ahsoka.
Going back to Star Wars. Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah, they've moved it forward now. Well, still Wednesday for us because it'll be like 2:00 in the morning by the time it comes out in America on Tuesday. But yeah, I'm really getting hyped for it, to be honest.
I know David Tennant's in it. Man's everywhere.
Yeah, ticking the right boxes, all the trailers. They're putting out a lot of TV spots and such. And nice, like 7-minute long behind the scenes of sorts video. But sort of, the inspiration and Ahsoka's journey from animation to live action, what they're doing with Sabine, the inspirations and such. It was all wonderful stuff, and yet I'm really getting hyped, which is a surprise because I wasn't too keen on Mando season 3. I was sort of wondering, is this sort of New Republic era Mandoverse they're building not for me anymore? But yeah, something about Ahsoka at the moment is really doing it for me. I don't know about you.
See, I've not finished Rebels yet. I sort of put Rebels on the back burner. So I might be able to cram in the last few episodes of Rebels before Ahsoka, which would be nice. But I don't think it's a necessity. I know the characters. I know Chopper, Sabine and Hera.
I suppose you know where it's going as well.
Yeah,
roughly with Rebels.
Yeah,
and I think people have been able to see the first 2 episodes already and have said it's perfectly fine to jump on board with these episodes. Apparently, it's getting a crawl at the start of the first episode as well, which is exciting.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, it really feels like that blend of classic Star Wars and new Star Wars. Stylish One has joined us. Welcome, Stylish One.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. That's okay. We were early.
Yeah, it's all right. For once, we are actually on time. So, it's all good. It's all good.
The animations are back, and it's not the Big Finish style, but instead the Season 4 style. Yeah, that seems to be the style for Season 4, doesn't it, really?
Which is nice.
Yeah, keep it consistent. I mean, you've only got the moon base that's different. Oh, and 10th planet, I suppose. you forget Smugglers and 10th Planet are season 4 of them being First Doctor.
Yeah, they're sort of leftovers, aren't they? Really?
Yeah. Sarge says, I just finished Andor the other night and loved it. It was definitely one of my favourite Star Wars Disney content from the past while. Oh, Andor is brilliant.
I think it might be my favourite.
Yeah, that is something really special. That takes Star Wars to a whole other level. But yeah, anyway, enough Star Wars. Shall we talk some Big Finish news?
Yeah, there's only a little bit of news.
Yeah. And we've not quite been on our regular streaming schedule, have we? We've not quite been going like clockwork recently. Life's been getting in the way, as it does. So we've missed out on one or two things, but at the same time, Big Finish has been a bit slow this month, really.
Yeah, so you can forgive us.
Yeah, it's like, we're getting the usual amount of news in this stream, even though
like
it's
2
been
weeks.
a little while. Yeah, 2 weeks and 1 day, I think, isn't it? Since
we did it on Thursday, didn't we?
Yeah, our little throwback to the Third Doctor Adventures Volume 2. And at that time, we had no idea what this release was. It was just Torchwood to be announced, and then suddenly on Wednesday last week, they dropped this release with cover, details, trailer, everything all came at the same time it was released, which is something I don't think Big Finish have ever done before, at least with something you can buy. They've done it before with like the free little freebies they do from time to time. But in terms of a product that's been available for pre-order for a while, this, as far as I'm aware, is a new one. So, I mean, how was your reaction to that?
See, I forgot Two's Company's release date. So I was just sat waiting, going, oh, Two's Company will be out in a minute. I'll refresh the app. And I saw Sigil, and I was like, oh, okay, we're doing that, are we? Yeah, not that I bought it, because I tend to steer clear from Torchwood because money. But yeah, I'm glad that it looks like a really cool story.
Nice that there's one more with Murray Melvin. Another posthumous performance here. I mean, I suppose in hindsight, it was somewhat obvious because you had Deadbeat Escape as the
book club.
Book club, that's it, this month. So it's all it should have been fairly obvious to us that Murray Melvin would have turned up. But yeah, I suppose good little horror story, it seems, from what people have been saying about it. Yeah. I mean, I do want about the stealth dropping, I suppose. I think it is potentially anti-consumer, though. Like, I've not really seen anyone complain about it as such. But the way Big Finish works is that if you pre-order something, you don't have to spend the money on delivery costs. But if you don't pre-order something, then it's about £2.50 now for just one CD. Yeah. And so for people who didn't either bundle this or already pre-order it, and I mean, why would you pre-order a random release that doesn't have any details yet? Those who want this on CD and didn't pre-order are now going to have to pay a little bit extra to get that. And so I think if they're a bit pissed off by that, they are justified in that. I can't say I've seen anyone complaining, to be fair.
Probably on Gallifrey base, but that's Gallifrey base.
Yeah, but I feel like it's justified in this instance. It's something that was neat, a little stealth drop as a one-off for this. But I hope they don't make a habit of it. We don't have next month's Torchwood details yet, so it'd be interesting to see whether this is now going to be the norm for Torchwood for some reason. But I don't really see how much Big Finish gets out of it, as a business, when, as a one-off novelty, I can see them experimenting with it as they have. But yeah, like, surely it's better off getting it out there earlier to promote it so that people are more likely to pre-order.
Yeah. Because, if you're not an avid people like us who are probably scouring the Big Finish website every day, you can easily miss that like a drop like that, really.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? So I don't know. Hopefully something they don't make a habit of. Cool little one-off, I suppose. But yeah, certainly could have worrying implications going forwards. I mean, not. But again, I'm not really personally that bothered by it because I haven't picked this one up, to be honest. It seems interesting. And if I did pick it up, I'd be picking up download only anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I have picked up some Torchwood though. I don't know if I did. I think I have mentioned it before actually, because I think I did it a couple of weeks ago. I got Among Us Part 1 and Part 2, and I've started listening to those now. So I'm enjoying that. So far, 3 episodes in. But yeah, looking at other news, Tooth Company came out.
Yeah.
And this is one of
Dartboard.
this is one of the things that we pre-recorded yesterday. We got a review out, experimenting a bit rather than doing a stream. We're going to be doing a pre-recorded review. Well, I've done a pre-recorded review of this one.
Yeah, it's all done.
Which
just got to edit it.
Yeah, so that should be coming out sometime over the weekend, shouldn't it?
Yeah, sometime over the weekend. Hopefully tomorrow, if everything goes to plan.
Yeah, so look forward to that to get our full thoughts. Also, on the topic of Once a Future, Martian Invasion of Planetoid 50 got a trailer.
Yeah.
How was it?
Really good. Yeah, it seems like we're getting a very different 10th Doctor. Yeah, I'm just really excited for this one.
10th Doctor and Strax seems like a strong combination.
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it's doing some unusual things, particularly with the Victorian London setting, or is it even Victorian London? What could be going on here? So, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. And it's Tennant, so it's always exciting getting more.
There's natural bias there, because it's been a year since we've heard from him in terms of Big Finish.
Yeah. He's going to be all over our screens in a couple of months now, so.
And I cannot wait.
Nah, me neither. I really enjoyed the new Once a Future, said Stylish One. Maybe we did too. Find out over the weekend.
Or is it a dartboard and it's just so random? We didn't enjoy it.
I picked up The Middle and Lore of the Nomad on sale from Forbidden Planet, so I'm looking forward to listening to those. Those are 2 good ones.
You listened to The Middle, I say, fairly recently.
Yeah, I did that not too long ago. Sort of in preparation for our upcoming monthly range mega tier list video.
Yeah.
Which I suppose this is sort of a companion piece to, isn't it? As we look at the relaunch, it's sort of the current era of Big Finish versus the previous era.
Yeah.
Or the many previous eras, because I feel like,
there are many
20 odd years, however many releases, doesn't quite feel right to call that just one singular era.
Yeah.
I prefer the dartboard over generic stories. I agree, Stylish Run.
I agree, especially for anniversary.
And other news: Intelligence for War trailer.
Yes,
this is this came
we
out.
Joked about this. We joked.
We said, Big Finish will come out with a Intelligence for War trailer right after we do our Third Doctor stream, and lo and behold, it happened. But yeah, it's an interesting trailer, isn't it? There's some Web of Fear references in there, which makes me wonder: is the intelligence in Intelligence for War the Great Intelligence?
To be fair, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Because it's not just that it's a reference to Harold Chorley; it's a reference to something going on in the underground, and Harold Chorley, the army being there, and Harold Chorley being sent in to investigate. That is explicitly something happening at the same time as Web of Fear, presumably a flashback. That has some relevance on this story. So, colour me intrigued there. I wonder if it'll be doing similar to Who Killed Kennedy, and sort of filling in some things like that. Like maybe we'll have an invasion reference, and then some of season 7 as well, tied into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the releases I'm most intrigued by. Upcoming. There's a handful of releases I'm excited for.
Because we don't really know too much about the plot here, do we? especially like for a 7-parter.
I think that's all we know, isn't it? So it's 7 parts, season 7, and that's it, really.
Yeah. I mean, we know Liz Shaw is under investigation by some secret branch of the British government. You've got the whole Nazi in a pub or something up north.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like this one's shrouded in mystery quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to cracking it open, seeing what it has to offer.
I can see the spine already, and I'm like, I want it on my shelf.
Are you sure it's John, though?
I hope it's John. I hope it's John, but I fear it could be Liz.
That'd be weird, though, if you have Return of Joe Jones doesn't have Joe Jones on the spine, but Intelligence for War does have Liz on the spine.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous cover. The third Doctor Adventures covers are constantly one-upping themselves, really. Like I thought Annihilators was bloody beautiful, and it's beautiful. But this one's come along, and it's just like, inject season 7 into me.
It just makes you want to rewatch season 7.
Which is kind of bad because I've rewatched it too much.
Oh, see, I want to watch Silurians.
You got that house to decide there, haven't you?
Yeah.
Which very much feels like, it could be dotted on Winley Moor somewhere.
Near or Sam Seeley's farmhouse.
It's funny how both Spearhead from Space and the Silurians, you do have that sort of older farmer couple, don't you? Who abused their wife a bit.
Yeah.
Right. Well, get on with it, woman. What are you staring at, woman?
Dear me.
It's the generation before, I suppose. It's not like the current 70s or late 60s generation. It's the one before that, where things haven't quite moved on yet.
Yeah.
I've just got a Blu-ray, and the cover art is by Sean Longmore. Always nice to see more of his artwork. It's a stylish one.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
He's been doing quite a bit. I know he does some James Bond artworks. I don't know whether they're for anything official or not. But yes, and I have seen he's done some DVD artworks for different films too. References to my favourite classic Who story. I might get this one if so, says Stylish One. I mean, yeah, well, in a couple of months' time, we'll let you know whether we recommend it or not. Purity Unbound, another trailer. This one dropped today, actually.
Yeah, it did.
Release date was the 30th of this month. So just a week and a bit away. Or a week and a half away. Have you listened to this trailer?
I have.
What do you think? I mean, have you listened to Purity Unleashed yet?
No.
Nah, you need to.
I should get around to it.
Did you enjoy the trailer?
Not really.
Ah.
I thought it was interesting, but again, it's hard to get a proper judgment of it.
I mean, it sort of feels a bit Stranded-esque with the police box sitting around in a village.
Yeah, being like the bulletin thing. That was quite cool.
Whereas it was sort of like turned into a second-hand bookshop in Stranded, wasn't it, at first?
Yeah.
So it's nice getting those vibes from it. I've come around a bit on the current wave of Sixth Doctor Adventures, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it concludes with this one.
I'm sure we'll do something covering the whole saga as well.
Yeah, I think we'll do a tier list, so usual way.
Yeah.
Sometime in September, I imagine we'll get around to that. Anyway, non-Doctor Who related, Omega Factor, we got a cover for. I think this is perhaps on both of our radars because of Tim Foley.
Yes.
More so than Omega Factor as a brand. I've watched the original show. I've listened to the first series of Big Finish audios. I enjoyed it. It's just one of those things that you've got to cut some ties to save money when it comes to Big Finish. And non-Doctor Who things are the first ones to go. So that was what stopped me there. But again, Tim Foley, this is supposedly a standalone 2-hour story as well. So maybe I'll pick it up if I'm in the mood when it drops.
Well, it's Halloween, isn't it? So I imagine it will drop
Yeah, probably
pretty close
31st
to it.
itself, won't it?
Yeah.
39th,
Or if it would have
39th.
sort of missed the boat by dropping it actually on Halloween. You know.
I suppose when is Halloween? Because they usually drop it midweek. So October 31st is a Tuesday, so I feel like that would hit right.
Okay.
I mean, last year they dropped Sullivan and Cross with Scream of the Daleks, a Halloween special in November. So I think this will be better than that at least.
True, very true.
But yeah, I mean, is this perhaps a pickup for you as well, or have you already decided? Nah,
I'd probably wait for Guinea Pig Luke to listen to it.
I'll be.
And then see. But it's on my radar. And I feel like I'm done buying Big Finish this year.
Nah. So by that time you'll have some money.
Yeah.
Ready for them. Depending on what you've got to pre-order for the start of next year by that time.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. So I've just got to do one more order and then I'm done for this year.
I mean, if it's anywhere close to as good as Diary of River Song, Series 11, Friend of the Family, then yeah, it's definitely going to be one for me. Because again, old house, Tim Foley.
Yeah, that's true. If you're interested in more Tim Foley, there is a Class audio. I'm not that desperate yet, I'll be honest.
No, I mean, he's doing a lot for Big Finish. There's a lot still upcoming with him. We got quite a bit of Eighth Doctor content from him in November, December, so we'll be eating good with Tim Foley for a while.
Yeah.
And finally, mainly I think the photographer told him, "Have you seen Warren Brown?" He's just like, "Say no more."
Yeah,
he's giving off that energy. But yeah, there is a David Richardson sale, and to preempt you, stylish one, do we have any recommendations from this sale?
Dalek Universe is on sale, which is cool.
The aforementioned Friend of the Family.
Pick that one up.
Yeah, definitely. Right. We never miss an opportunity to.
The Annihilators is on sale as well at the minute because it's part of the Doctor Who magazine poll, which I'm sure we'll gush over in a couple minutes' time.
Yeah, I mean that'd be the second release we cover. Shadow of the Sun. How much is that one going for at the moment? It's only a little bit off. Only 10%. So
Fifth Doctor box set.
But yeah, I mean that is also one that's going to go out of stock when they've run out. So maybe if you do want Shadow of the Sun physically, that's worth picking up now rather than later, rather than holding out for it to go cheaper. But yeah, sorry. Was that Fifth Doctor box set you mentioned?
Fifth Doctor box set.
Banger.
Back to Earth, mainly for Station to Station and Old Lang Syne.
Could it have been superseded by a recent Ninth Doctor box set?
That's true.
Do
we like the Ninth Doctor now? Ooh, that's a future thing to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, for you, it's still up in the air because you only listened to Below There so far.
Yeah.
Or did you dive into more Ninth Doctor last night?
I listened to Omega instead for a future video.
So. Understandable.
Yeah.
Is the Fifth Doctor box set worth getting for someone who really doesn't like maths or season 19? It might change your mind on season 19. I don't think it'll change your mind on maths.
It's Big Finish's spin on season 19. So that's nearly 10 years old, that box set.
That ages us.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends also what you don't like about season 19, because it certainly feels like it's improving certain things, particularly in the relationships between the characters, filling those gaps between Castrovalva and Four to Doomsday, and sort of expanding them a bit more while still feeling true to who they originally were. So, yeah, it all depends really what about season 19 doesn't work for you. Because there's certainly some eras that I'm not too keen on most of the TV stories from it, but it has a flavor that Big Finish is able to extract and then inject.
It's a distillation,
really
isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, season 17 doesn't have the best set of stories, But Series 5 of the Fourth Doctor Adventures, which is definitely taken inspiration from that, is one of the best series of the Fourth Doctor Adventures. So it's funny how things like that turn out. So maybe Fifth Doctor box set will do the same for you with season 19. But shall we dive into tonight's main topic now?
Yeah, it's been half an hour. I think we've got the right to dive in.
That's about standard for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose, shall we talk about when we first heard the monthly range was coming to an end? Also, it's an odd one because I don't know if we can necessarily remember the exact time, because it was sort of been rumbled about for a while, hadn't it?
Well, it was planned ever since sort of 2015, because I remember going to a Big Finish day, and the first panel of the morning was like Jason, Nick, and David Richardson. And I remember Nick mentioning his dream is to put because I think somebody brought up about subscriptions, actually, how they don't want to get certain doctors, they just want to get, say fifth or whatever. And Nick's said, my idea is to put each doctor in their own range, and then you can subscribe to that and miss out the stuff you don't want. So I think it's been on the radar for a long time. And I think the monthly range, though I love it, when you see number 200 and whatever, and you're getting into Big Finish, you're like, do I have to listen to the whole back catalogue to experience that? Which common sense should sort of suggest you don't need to listen to a Colin Baker story to understand a Fifth Doctor story from like 100 releases ago or whatever.
But that's not always necessarily the case, because you did have the Charlie arc beginning with the 8th Doctor and then ending with the 6th Doctor. So I mean, it was later monthly range stuff that sort of ease away from that quite a bit, didn't it?
I would say from 200. I would say from We Are the Daleks. I think they tried to wrap everything up for 200.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of everyone's welcome, back into the circle, I guess.
Yeah. But nevertheless, those big numbers on the spines are probably putting some people off, really. And also, it does feel a bit weird. I can see what Nick Briggs was saying about there being a friction for new listeners when they're coming in and thinking, okay, so what's this monthly / main range? Why is that the 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctors, but not any other Doctors? Why do they have their own range? These Doctors are together. And for those of us who know the history of Big Finish, it makes perfect sense, because those were the Doctors they started with. Then when other Doctors came along, it made more sense to put them in their own range. But yeah, now I think it does make more sense with what Big Finish has turned into, with each Doctor having their own range. Although, will that get to the point eventually where those numbers are getting too high? Because it's one of those odd things.
It is a cycle.
At first, they were saying, we're not calling these volumes, we're giving them each their own titles. And it's like, you've done that, but you've still stuck a number on the spine.
And I feel like if you're getting the physical Big Finish, you kind of know where you're naturally going to place it anyway.
I think maybe the better solution would have been number on the inside spine, the CD case.
They did that for the Annihilators, didn't they?
Yeah, they did it for a couple. Or maybe it was just the Annihilators, I don't. Yeah, because there's some that are missing their number on the spine, but I think they're missing it on both sides. So, and then you've got Kaleidoscope with the number 10 on one side and the number 2 on the other, just to confuse things even more. I don't know how that's going to seem to someone who's just picking it up randomly on the shelves in a store.
Yeah.
Trevor Hicks, welcome. Thank you for joining
us.
Hello.
Thank you.
10 years from now, they will have to do another relaunch. Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, probably will. Death in a Family does not work on its own. That's true, but it's a really good story.
Nick Briggs mentioned something about that on the Outlaws extras, actually, not Death in the Family. But the idea that, starting from number 1 draws more people in.
Yes.
So presumably that he knows that eventually they'll have to do the hard reset again. I mean, it's something they do a lot in comic books, isn't it?
Yeah.
They'll have an issue 1 out of nowhere again, even though there's no necessary reason for it as such. It's just a reboot for reboot's sake, so that people are more inclined to jump on and start picking things up. And yeah, I mean, I wonder how successful that's been for Big Finish in terms of new listeners coming in with this relaunch.
I don't know. I really don't know. I think that certain ranges, certainly people have been more inclined to dive into.
Yeah, I mean, Second Doctors seems to be doing well. At least Beyond War Games did.
Yeah, I think that's the one what people are most interested because of just the idea behind it, season 6B. I think everything else, I would say, has kind of been business as usual, I would say, for some of the Doctors.
Yeah, some more than others. Certainly, Fourth Doctor's sort of an outlier, isn't it?
Yeah, he doesn't really count.
These were recorded way before anyway. They don't quite fit into the format yet either. They're still 4 or 5 disc box sets, whereas all the other Doctors are down to 3. Stylish Run says, Blue Forgotten Planet requires years of backlog across 2 arcs, but I went through it all just to hear Blue Forgotten Planet because of the cover and trailer, so backlog isn't necessarily a barrier.
I think people as well, they like that investment in it. I think I can agree. I like being invested in a series or range and having that sort of payoff, what you get with the Charlie arc, I would say.
Yeah. Although I like having a clear amount of arc as well. It's something that I do quite like about Stranded, Ravenous, Doom Coalition. The fact that you are told this is a 16-episode story, or Dalek Universe, a 9-episode story, and then that's it. There may be some other crossovers within there, and it may set up something else to lead into, but nevertheless, there is an arc that you're getting a beginning, middle, and end for, and that you already know that you're getting that with that.
I think that's why the 11th Doctor is probably my favourite range at the minute.
Yeah.
Because of that reason in itself, really.
Yeah. Because I'm not sure. There is something nice about knowing where you're at in terms of the overall story. You don't know exactly where it's going, of course, but you know how much time you have left on the clock with that. I think it's something that the 6th Doctor suffered with for a little bit, because it wasn't until after Purity Unleashed came out that we were told we're wrapping up this story now with the 4th box set. Had we been told right from Waterworlds that this was going to be a 4 box set arc, I think it may have helped us acclimatise to it a bit.
And I think I'm kind of getting that with the recent Jamie set.
Yeah, especially with it only being 1 box set a year as well. That's sort of a worrying thing of where is this gonna go.
And how long can you sustain what they're doing as well?
Yeah, especially, well, we'll get onto that.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, that's for the end of the night. For the start of the night, we've got 40, which again sort of doesn't necessarily feel like the start of the relaunch, because it's more of a bonus anniversary special, isn't it?
Yeah, I wonder when they do the 6th Doctor one, is it going to be called 40 again?
Yeah, I mean, probably not too long until we find out about that, because that's due March next year.
That's true.
But I mean, with these 2 box sets, I feel like they would have come out in this form regardless if whether the monthly range had ended or not.
But yeah, I feel like we would have got the 5th Doctor main range, then I would say like Conflict of Interest would get, and then 40 as well, I would say.
Yeah, maybe that would have been the ideal way to go about it. But as for 40 itself as a story, I feel like it's one that's improved by 42.
Yes.
I think I am much more forgiving of this one now, having heard how the arc concludes, how brilliant 42 is. And I mean, we're sort of covering both at the same time here, just because of how connected they are. But, it really does elevate 40 as a whole, I feel.
I mean, I've not gone back to this box set yet.
Not at all.
Not at all. I mean, I'm in the mood for it, especially 42, because it's got a 5 Doctors feel, and season 20 coming out in pretty much a month's time. So I might feel different on it, but I still feel a bit conflicted on it, say the word.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's not the strongest start. I think it gets off to a very strong start, though, because those first 2 episodes of Return to Telos are bloody amazing. They are some of the best Big Finish of 2022. You know, it gets the Cybermen right. It gets that Tomb of the Cybermen feel right. You've got the claustrophobia, the 60s horror, body horror in there. You've got a lot of trauma going on with the Fifth Doctor, Tegan and Nyssa. It starts off that arc wonderfully. I feel like it does a better job with it than Once the Future's done with its somewhat similar premise.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been executed better there. But yeah, it does all go downhill in the second 2 parts.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of the Ice Warrior story. God of War, is it?
Yeah, that's the weakest of
it's just a missed opportunity, that story. Ice Warriors and Vikings, you think perfect match. Story does nothing with that idea.
No, which is a shame. I mean, where would you put it on this tier list? I mean, let's say what the tiers are quickly.
Yeah, go on.
At the top, we've got 41 out of 42. So, you know, that's best of the best. Nothing's quite perfect, so it's 1 mark off, but, you know, we love it. The 9 out of 10, of course, a pun on the Fourth Doctor, the 9 box set, for the ones that are great, but not quite amazing. The Decent Song, pun on the Demon Song, for the ones that are more middling, Conflicted on for the ones that we maybe want to like, but struggle a bit. I mean, you may notice that a certain box set will probably fit into that category.
Yeah.
Far from the best, pun Far From Home, which, I mean, yeah, you could tell it's that far down on the tier list, so it's far from the best. And finally, Deserves to Be Annihilated, which, spoiler alert, the Annihilators will not be in.
No, I think we know where that one's going.
Yeah, as for 41, what are you leaning towards?
I'm saying Conflicted on, because the first 2 parts of Talos are brilliant. The rest I can kind of take or leave.
I'd lean towards the Decent Song, just because I feel like it's improved by 42.
Okay.
I think it's worth picking them both up. And so I feel like overall it makes it a worthwhile purchase, even if it has been a few.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I'll let you have it.
The Annihilators now. I mean, if you've been following this channel for a year or so, you'll know what's happening here.
So good.
Our first Third Doctor 7-parter on Big Finish. We are so lucky that we are getting a second later this year. And I mean, at first we were disappointed that the second Doctor and Jamie were being thrown in there, but they work so well.
Yeah. It's arguably, is it the best season 6B Big Finish audio? Yeah.
Yes, it is. It ties into all that wonderfully. I think it delivers on that concept the best, in the fact that the Time Lords within it, while sending Doctor and Jamie on missions, are more of like on the periphery, really, aren't they? There's a mystery there to them that I think, you know, Beyond War Games and James McCrimmon doesn't really capture. You know, I quite like the way that it almost captures how the Time Lords were in the War Games in one sense, but also the 2 Doctors. You know, you have the Doctor.
No, 3 Doctors.
Yeah. No, 2 Doctors.
Oh, 2 Doctors. Okay.
Where he's saying, "You think I've never flown a TARDIS solo, have you?"
Okay.
Shouts it. So, like, that idea that the Time Lords are watching and controlling, but not necessarily chatting with him.
Steering them. Yeah, I've got you.
And I think this one delivers well on that as a concept. Jamie and Liz are a surprising combo.
Yeah,
It worked
really
very
good.
well. You got some nice callbacks to the invasion as well at one point when they reunite. Or unite, rather. Sorry, not reunite. And I mean, the Brigadier gets to reunite. He does get to reunite with Jamie as well for a nice chat about how he's getting older. And I mean, it's sort of an obvious case of where the twist's going, what the message is. But obvious isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather an obvious twist be told well than a non-obvious twist come out of nowhere and make no sense in terms of the story and sort of, suck the life out of it a bit because it has no thematic relevance. Whereas here, it all works wonderfully. It's quite quick as well. It's a 7-part, but a lot of the parts are very short.
But like 21, 24 minutes, so they don't really outstay their welcome at all.
No. It's an easy listen. And it's one of those listens that you sat there, you finish one episode, you think, I can go for one more, I can squeeze it in. So it's a real page turner.
I'll be honest, I think it's in my top 10 Big Finish of all time.
Wow. I mean, with that said, we've got to put in 41 out of 42.
It's so evocative of the era. You can hear the film grain of it, It's just so of season 7 and, the gravity of the situation. It's very high.
I mean, the setting of the docks as well, you can really picture that so well, can't you? I mean, as Stephen Noonan has introduced us to this phrase, post-nuclear industrial gothic. It has that feel down to a T in the story. So, yeah, I think this was where we really started to sync with the relaunch bit. We were like, oh, okay, I could see the potential of this now.
It's the formatting, I think, as well, where the relaunch comes into its own.
It opens things up a lot more, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's not your standard, either a box set of 3 or 4 1-hour stories or a box set of, just 2 4-parters. It's showing that this 3-disc format is quite versatile. You can get a good bit of variety in that. We're now getting 3-parters, but also 7-parters are now a possibility. And that's something that's so true to the Third Doctor era. 7-parters and 6-parters, 6-parters in particular, are the meat and potatoes of the Third Doctor's era. It's the most stories that he has are 6-parters. So it feels right that it's now being represented on audio. I mean, we love most of those 4-parters we got in the first 8 volumes, but it was time to freshen things up a bit, and this does that beautifully.
It does indeed.
But I mean, back to a set of 2 4-parters, Solo, which is again, it's sort of like an outlier still, isn't it, in terms of the relaunch?
Yeah.
But with that, you have an interesting case of what a lot of Big Finish has been recently, where it's one strong story, one can take it or leave it story. Ravencliff Witch, brilliant, love it. Very Nigel Neal, wonderfully evocative setting. Introduces Margaret Hopwood, who is brilliant. Feels right for Philip Hinchcliffe. Feels like it could slot into that gap between Deadly Assassin and Face of Evil very well. Blood of the Time Lords, meanwhile, just a remake of Deadly Assassin, really, with diminishing returns.
It's pretty much beat for beat Deadly Assassin, isn't it?
Which is odd because it's also a direct sequel. Like, it takes place directly afterwards for the Doctor and Gallifrey.
I like the setting of it, and how it links back to Planet of Spiders.
There's some nice Gallifreyan mythology there, isn't there? Like that link and beyond it as well.
Yeah.
I'd probably say the decent song.
Yeah, I'd say.
I think Ravencliff Wish is pushing it higher. But the bright side about this one is that you can pick these 2 up individually as a download only.
Yeah.
So, yeah, certainly go for the Ravencliff Witch, maybe skip out on Blood of the Time Lords. Stylish one said, would that audio Blood of the Time Lords have worked better as a self-aware comedy?
I don't think so.
No, I wouldn't say so. Sam Mason has joined us. All right, lads, I've come because I just bought Street Fighter 6 and it's peed me off because I can't find the settings. I just want to fix my game. Damn it. Also, tea helps. I'm glad we can hopefully provide some calming influence on you in this hour of need.
Yeah.
Distract you a bit. I mean, didn't we once get a comment saying we have calming voices?
I think so. I think so. But yeah,
I can't remember who left that, but yeah, there we go. We'll give you some ASMR.
Yeah, there we go. The Outlaws now, with our good friend Stephen Noonan. Who it's amazing to think that this box set has spawned, a lovely relationship with the man himself, really.
Yeah. I mean, not wanting to assume too much over familiarity there, but I do feel like we know him rather well at this point, and it's wonderful always getting to chat with him about Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's sort of a highlight, really.
Yeah, weird thinking
sort of that fan wisdom from him.
But it's just sort of weird thinking that, we haven't known him that long, really.
Yeah.
Like, this box set was only just over a year ago. And I think, it was during our review for that he first popped into the chat, wasn't it? When we did that back in, must have been April.
I think it was April.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I mean, the first Doctor Ventures Stephen Noonan rather has come quite a long way since then, popping up in quite a few different ranges. He's done quite a bit for Once and Future. It's interesting looking back at where this all started. And I think you are quite a big fan of this one, aren't you?
Yeah, I think this is sort of a comfort box set, I think because I'm a huge fan of Big Finish's first Doctor content. And I just really enjoyed the Outlaws. It's very evocative of the 60s, but I think where this box set shines is the Miniaturist, which is just a real delight, spooky. It has that sort of post-nuclear industrial gothic feel to it. It's sort of
the mine setting,
it's sort of got that sort of 60s imagining of 2019. And I think it's a nice direction where the range is going.
Because certainly they follow through from that again with the Demon Song, don't they?
Yeah, I think that's the Demon Song is where it excels at in that set, really. But yeah, I think there's a lot of fun within it. It's you really get Hartnell with the outburst with Reefer Sound. I think that's where you really get to see
like interacting with his monk is where he sounds particularly like William Hartnell. And I think it shows quite a bit of range from his Doctor as well within these two stories. I think, you have the calming grandfatheriness there. You've got the more comedic approaches at times, like when he's telling the sheriff stories of Richard the Lionheart. And you've also got those angry outbursts as he confronts the monk. And then I think you also have good range in the Miniaturist as well.
Yeah. Well, sort of more quieter moments when, he's confronting the Miniaturist itself,
it's a very weird story, isn't it? The Miniaturist, in a good. I suppose the one it channels most of the era is the Celestial Toymaker, but
it's
nothing
not
like the Celestial Toymaker for the most part.
It's got its own identity,
and I think it really is a show of strength from Stephen Noonan and Lauren Cornelius, really, and it's sort of showing that there is potential here with this.
It's proof of concept, I think we've said before.
Yeah.
And we know how much hard work goes into these sets, and we really appreciate all the effort that goes into them.
mean, I imagine you're leaning towards 9 out of 10 on this one.
I am.
I'll let you have it.
Thank you. There we go.
And now we're on to Waterworlds, the beginning of...
Sorry, I slipped. Sorry.
Beginning of the current range of Sixth Doctor adventures, which I was looking forward to at the time. Particularly
Yeah, you were.
I was on the hype train. I don't think it quite delivered on that hype.
No, you get.
I was tired of Waterworlds after, as in specifically Worlds of Water. You know, these ocean planets they were visiting. I was tired of that setting by the second story.
I think what didn't help, we did 1 Mile Down, so we kind of had our water story there.
Yeah,
and then
we drowned a bit.
Yeah, and Hebe as a character, she's great, but she's not a character you like straight away because she's very much like the Sixth Doctor, and I think she parallels the Sixth Doctor's journey where she sort of softens up and opens up as things go along for her, really. And it's one thing what I do admire about Waterworlds is how it nods to the past, but it's also looking
Setting
towards the future. Yeah, which I admire a lot about it.
I mean, I think the Rotting Deep, the first story, is my favorite of the set.
Yeah,
it was a really strong part 1, a really great set of characters. But yeah, it sort of didn't quite stick the landing with part 2. But I thought, okay, still promising start. I'm still looking forward to this. And then, it just never really came together in that same way for me again, this box set. I just got more and more fed up with it as I went through it. They're long stories as well. Like, they're 2-parters, but they are like 35 upwards minutes per part. And it does feel like it drags after a while. Far from the best.
Yeah. So I think there's some more interesting releases where you do question. Yeah.
Sam says, this stream is chill. Love it.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. If you're enjoying the stream and you haven't already, leave a like. It helps us out.
If you're chilling out with your tea, please do consider hitting that like button while you're there.
Absolutely. So the 9, 3 stories. Yeah. Dreams of Avarice, Shell Shock, and Melvin Peak, is it? I can't remember what the third story is called. Peak Season.
It's Peak Season, yeah. Featuring the writer, Melvin Peak.
There we go.
1 good story, 1 very, very good story, 2 mess stories.
Yeah. Shell Shock.
The good one is a 4-parter. Shell Shock. That is where this set is at. Again, fits very nicely into season 14. Another Nigel Neal inspired story, but this time more Quatermass and the Pit than the Stone Tape, which is very much what Ravencliff Witch is riffing off. So I love that story. Dreams of Avarice, I can take or leave. I feel like it would have made a much better 2-parter.
I think it suits. It feels like a Trouble with Drax. It would suit that format very well.
It's not that the plot is stretched thin over 4 parts. I don't feel like it's a slog or like badly paced. I just feel like it could have been concentrated much more and made a much more fun 2-parter.
Yeah.
I think what it's going for doesn't quite sustain interest.
I enjoy the character work.
Yeah.
With like the 9 little security drones and
they're wonderful.
The companion of the week. I think Guy Adams really gets the balance of Tom's humor very well.
I just sort of feel like I was done with it by part 3.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Although there is one wonderful sequence where you're like zooming out from a miniaturized planet.
Yeah.
That I think is very effectively done even though it's audio, it's hard to have something visualized. But the image that it puts in your mind through the way that transitions, the sound effects they use is rather brilliant. So kudos to the sound designers on that. And then peak season, similar to the two-parters in Waterworlds, too long.
Yeah, as a bonus, I'm like, I can take or leave it. I didn't really need it, but it's fine.
Yeah. Conflicted on?
Yeah.
So I feel like there's more weighing it down than there is boosting up. But again, you can buy Shell Shock on its own.
Yeah.
So, if you're a download-only person, definitely recommend picking that one up. That's a hot take. Shell Shock got very mixed reviews. Well, people are wrong.
Yeah, we're right. I think
the only take you will get on this channel.
Yeah,
we are right. Everyone else is wrong.
This is a matter
of fact. Unless they agree with us.
Yeah.
In which case they are right by default.
Yeah. I mean, if you like No Man's Land, you'll probably think, am I just listening to No Man's Land again with the Fourth Doctor? And you probably are. But I really enjoy it because it just feels very evocative of the era.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of Seventh Doctor, Silver and Ice.
We weren't speaking of Seventh Doctor.
Well,
speaking of evocative of the era.
I mean,
was that what you were going for?
No, it was No Man's Land being a Seventh Doctor story.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, that was my little.
Oh, sorry, I've ruined you there.
Yeah, you had to make me explain. But yeah, Seventh Doctor, Silver and Ice.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was still on the 9. But it's also very evocative of the era. It certainly fits well into 24, particularly the first story.
Bad Day in Tinseltown, yeah.
With the Cybermen. A few different kinds of Cybermen. You've got your 80s Cybermen meeting your Wheel in Space Cybermen here. Sadly, no David Banks, though. 80s Cyberman voiced by Nicholas Briggs. So, it's, Mum, can we have 80s Cybermen? No, we have 80s Cybermen at home.
I want Christopher Robbie.
He does well with them.
I want Christopher Robbie back. I want Hands on Hips Intensify.
I mean, that would fit quite well tonally with this story.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah. I think, it's your preferred story in this box set, the 4-parter?
Yeah, I think so. I think
I enjoyed Bad Day in Tinseltown more, to be honest.
I'm not a huge fan of season 24. So I think Dan Starkey did a good job replicating it. I think part 1's really good. I think the tone's really nice. But after that, it just falls apart for me.
Well, your mic was going a bit funny then, by the way.
Oh, that's bad.
So like there's someone breathing on it, even though you clearly weren't.
Oh, damn Cybermats.
Oh. Dust extractor. I mean, overall, this box set's just fine for me. I feel like decent song. I don't really have strong opinions either way.
Yeah, it happened. I think it's a box that I kind of moved on very quickly from, despite being very excited for it because it was Seventh Doctor and Cybermen.
Yeah, I feel like we were sort of over Mel by this point because she'd been turning up in a lot of spaces,
and she still keeps turning up.
Yeah. It always feels like a false start for the Seventh Doctor adventures, doesn't it? With where they've gone since then.
Well,
it feels more like a proper relaunch. This just feels like something they put out to fill the time.
It's a placeholder because when they did the initial announcement, it was like, we're going to go to the Seventh Doctor's last days. It's taken us nearly 2 years to get to that point.
Yeah. It does sort of have that quality of, right, we're coming out of lockdown now. Who's actually available to record with McCoy?
Yeah.
Bonnie, you'll do. But here we have a proper start to a new era with the Second Doctor Adventures Beyond War Games. Second Doctor flying solo in 2 stories set after the War Games, in case you hadn't guessed, where he's been recruited by the Time Lords to go on missions for the CIA and just give them a helping hand with things, really, and sort of have built-in deniability. is what they are going for with him as an operative. Cyrus excited to be on War Games.
Yes.
Well,
quite.
I mean, I quite like it in hindsight, this box set.
I think it's better than another Second Doctor set on this list. I'll take it over Jamie.
I wonder which one that could be.
Yeah, I'll take it over Jamie.
Annihilators, the third Doctor box set, is the best Second Doctor story we've gotten from the relaunch, sadly.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like the format of Beyond War Games. How you think, how are they doing this sort of 4-parter, and it's only like 15 minutes, isn't it, something daft like that?
Yeah, it's 2 4-parters across 3 discs, and you're wondering how they're gonna make that work. But it ends up being, a 1-hour story split into 4 parts, so it's rather easily digestible.
Yeah,
almost feels like a web serial.
It's a bit like Scream of the Shalka,
yeah. You feel like it's something they could put out as its own little thing, like an installment a week, in a way.
And I think it's very tantalizing getting this sort of glimpse of where we're going with this series, and then it quickly drops that sort of tantalizing thing in the second story, really.
Yeah, it's sort of thrown the Second Doctor into the deep end, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
And I think the first story is a hard one to judge because we don't know where the arc is going, so we're just sort of like dropped hints of stuff that hopefully eventually pays off. But at the same time, I'm sort of more there just for more stories that are evocative of the era. And that's what Wrath of the Ice Warriors does bring along in the second story. The chunky meat of the set, really, isn't it? Which I think I wasn't too keen on upon first listen, particularly the second half. I think the first half's very strong. The second half, it took me a little bit of time to warm to. I think,
and what it does with the break as well.
Upon re-listening, I've come to enjoy it and accept it a bit more. I'd probably say either decent song or 9 out of 10.
I would say 9 out of 10 because again, it's proof of concept, much like the Outlaws.
Yeah, it does meet that. Purity Under It. Did you ever finish this box set?
I did. Hence why I could listen to Unleashed.
So you just got to dive into that next. Or did you do the first story in Unleashed? I mean,
I've done the first story in Unleashed. I've done Mel Takes on Broadway or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Broadway Belongs to Me.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I mean, that's the weakest one from that set, but we'll get to that. Got a few to get through first. I mean, this is one I think I'm more keen on than you are.
I'd agree with that.
I mean, again, we will be going into more detail on Sixth Doctor adventures in its own stream for this Purity saga that Big Finish have got going on. And I think it probably will be worth going back to the start and re-listening. That pains you. You don't have to do it, but I probably will. I think it's...
I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
I think especially now with the context of where it's going, it'll be interesting to see what hints we missed of that build-up. It helped a lot with Stranded, re-listening to Stranded 1 before Stranded 2 came along, and noticing how many hints were dropped, how well that all tied into each other. So I'll be interested to see thematically how this all works, because this whole series is dealing with some big topics of eugenics and such. I mean, the whole reason that Purity is in these titles is down to one person's view of humanity, in that, people with disabilities and such don't fit into the world and should be removed from it. They sort of have Purity herself, the character Patricia McBride, has a sympathy for them in a way, but it's a false sympathy, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like, she's coming at it from totally the wrong perspective. She's the hero of her own story, and that's what makes her so terrifying as a villain. And I love how it's built up her character, because she does start as an ally in this first set, and it is about sort of a companion who goes a bit wrong. it's almost doing, for those of you who know the original live action Scooby-Doo movies.
Yes.
With Scrappy Doo, his villain origin story. It sort of does that, I suppose.
Okay.
But I mean, in a bit less of a comedic way. Wow. James Gunn's come a long way since then. But yeah, this box set, I like what it's going for thematically. I think, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts for me. I don't think any of these stories are particularly strong standouts.
I like the showdown between Colin in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's where you realize why this set is called Purity Undreamed. That's when it all starts to dawn upon you, and it's like, bloody hell, that is brilliant and sick at the same time. Yeah, and I think it's brilliant to have this series be tackling these issues, and the fact that it is being written and acted by disabled people who are being represented within it. It's not people from the outside of that imagining what life must be like and then going at it from there. It's people who have lived through these experiences sharing their experiences through this series. And I think that's always important to have as well. It's important to have those voices on both sides of the creative process.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate it for that. And the fact that Jacqueline Rayner, with this series, has chosen something personal to her that she wants to share. And there's a wonderful approach with Hebe as a character in that, disabled people aren't angry that they can't access these things. They're angry that these things aren't accessible to them, because there's that difference there, isn't there?
Yeah.
I'm not explaining it as well as they can.
Just listen. Just listen to it.
Just listen, and you'll get what I'm trying to say. But yeah, again though, like I was saying about the stories themselves, none of them stand out to me. So I'd probably put this one in
Conflicted?
the decent song, conflicted on. Yeah, I feel like you're much more conflicted on, so I'll let you have that one there.
There we go.
But I do think it's a series that's improving as it's going on. So yeah, and with you having not listened to all of Purity Unleashed, I can have full control.
Yeah, you have full
I will
control.
be unleashed.
I'll be unbound.
Yeah, but 42 now. We're coming full circle. This is where 40 really started to click with us. And
6-part.
Again,
Brilliant.
Again, it's showing what this series can do. What the relaunch, can do, in that we are getting these diverse formats of stories. And a 6-part of Fifth Doctor, I don't think has been done before.
No.
Cold Fusion, but that's also got the 7th Doctor.
Well, you had the game, but that's like 15 minutes per episode. But it's not like a traditional 6-parter.
I mean, this isn't quite a traditional 6-parter either, because it is chunky.
Is it longer than the Annihilators?
35 minutes. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Easily longer than the Annihilators. I think Kaleidoscope might be longer than the Annihilators as well, to be fair. But yeah, this is a chunky one, but you don't feel it. It has lots of twists and turns to keep you engaged.
Yeah.
And it's just a brilliant story overall, really. The Master is very cleverly used in it. You've got John Coleshaw on triple duty here as Master Chameleon and Brigadier. It feels like such a strong celebration of the Fifth Doctor's era. It feels like it's living up to what 40 promised, really. Because with 41, you did quite rightly have people saying, is this a celebration of the Fifth Doctor or the second?
Yeah.
But here, no, it is solidly Fifth Doctor. Everything from before comes together beautifully here. I feel like no characters left out. There are quite a lot of characters introduced in this story who have a lot to do by the end of it. There's almost like an assembly a gang thing. It's doing that Chibnall Whittaker era approach, but better. Which is amazing as well, because it's audio. You'd think it'd be harder to keep track of all these characters, but it juggles them wonderfully. And yeah, it's if you like the Five Doctors, which who doesn't, you'll
It
like
has that
this.
feel. It has that
Yeah,
feel.
it's that celebratory feel, but more condensed, more Fifth Doctor specific.
The cliffhangers are brilliant within it.
Episode 2 particularly.
The way it explores the Nestines and Autons is great. It's sort of their origin in a way, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's a brilliant exploration of them. There's also a brilliant exploration of the Fifth Doctor as a character as well. And some scenes that'll bring tears to your eyes. 42 is great and one of my favorite Fifth Doctor stories, the stylish one. Agreed. Yeah. I mean, it's 41 out of 42. This is top spot.
Yeah, it's an easy no-brainer. I really want to listen to it now. I might do that once we finish this.
But Kaleidoscope now. This was one that took us a bit of time to grow on, didn't it?
When you listen to it at first, you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. It's one where you have to listen to it, then have a bit of time away from it and listen to it again, and you'll have an understanding, and then you'll really appreciate it, because it's 3 stories under this banner title of Kaleidoscope. It's experimental. It's pushing the Third Doctor range into very unknown ground, and it works for it.
Yeah. Very Bob Baker, Dave Martin.
Yeah.
There's some scenes very early on that feel very reminiscent of the start of Claws of Axos, as everyone's rushing into the control room to see what strange object is falling to Earth. This has that approach to it, doesn't it? And it's wonderful to have that aspect of the Third Doctor era be channeled, because as Alan Barnes, the writer, quite rightly pointed out, so many Third Doctor stories in expanded media either try to channel Robert Holmes or Malcolm Hulke. They go for one of those two approaches. Here, it's taking that lesser loved approach, because I don't think too many of the Bob Baker, Dave Martin stories are necessarily favorites.
They're underrated, I'd say.
Yeah, they're good, but yet they're never like topping polls like Inferno is or Green Death. But here, you have a story that's taken that and saying, no, this is still a part of the Third Doctor era. It deserves to be represented. Let's turn that up to 11 and just have the craziest, most fun adventure we can think of. Go to some mad places over these 6 parts. And really get really meta with it, especially later on. As you're practically sat there with the Third Doctor watching the Kaleidoscope TV show as it takes over Doctor Who. It's wonderful. Stephen Noonan again is in here doing quite a lot of different roles. Him and Mark Elstob are pulling out so many different voices.
Yeah, guess who's who.
I mean, Stephen's main role is General Sokolov. It's quite a nice Bond villain, really.
It's a Russian brigadier, isn't? Yeah, it's great.
And then Mark Elstob also gets to mirror the brigadier as Air Commodore Hurley. This Burley Hurley, as he's sometimes.
Oh, Tubby Rowlands,
Yeah, it's nice how it's very much a story of contrast. I've come to notice.
Yes.
Like every character has at least one other character who they're paired with, not as a double act, but as a mirror being held up to them. The Kaleidoscope of the title is very much, a mirror to the Doctor of another alien who's come to Earth to help. Of course, Sokolov and Hurley mirroring the Brigadier. Sarah gets her own nemesis in the form of Jenny Nettles.
Oh, she grates on you, but for the right reasons.
There's so many wonderful jokes in this one as well. I feel like I notice more each time I listen to it. It is one that I keep going back to. So, yeah, I think 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one more definitely benefits multiple listens.
Yeah, I'm glad I gave it a second chance
Hmm.
because it wasn't necessarily that it was bad the first time. It's just that I was having fun with it, but I was also struggling to get it.
Yeah.
Whereas now
It's
I
such a
get it. Now it's
departure.
clicked for me, and I can have even more fun.
Speaking of, we can have fun. This Eighth Doctor set.
Well, it is blimmin' brilliant, isn't it?
It is
What
Paradox
lies
of the
inside?
Daleks.
Yeah. A very strong two-parter for the Eighth Doctor, Liv and Helen, as they face the Daleks. New series Daleks as well. It's sort of got Time War link, doesn't it? But it doesn't feel like it's weighed down by that Time War curse that seems to affect so many a Big Finish box set. This is something different. This is another, like you say, just a fun story, but also one that does this whole time paradox approach wonderfully well. It is one that I think improves on re-listen.
You notice the little hints, don't you?
Yeah, you notice so much of what's set up. It's so cleverly done, but it doesn't feel like it's showing off how clever it is. It just feels so well planned and so well thought out. And I think it doesn't hold your hand, but it doesn't need to. You can follow along with it if you're paying enough attention to it. So
it's sort of palindrome level, I would say.
I prefer it to palindrome, to be honest. Maybe hot take there, but yeah, I think it doesn't overstay its welcome either. It's another one that is slightly shorter in its part length. Yeah, it just breezes past. So much fun to be had here. And I think long overdue to have a solid Dalek story for the Eighth Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's had so many in the Time War where they're just there as part of the furniture. Here, a bit more gets to be done with them. And Paul McGann certainly gets to have a fun time inside a Dalek.
Yes.
So, with that said, it's 41 out of 42.
Yeah,
and we haven't
Dalby
even
Spook,
mentioned Dalby Spook,
which is still fine. It's still good, but the main reason you're buying it is for Paradox of the Daleks.
I think Dalby Spook could have been absolute horseshit, and I would still highly recommend this one because you've got such a brilliant two-parter. But the fact that you get a very good story alongside it, you've got your main meat, and then you've also got a wonderful bonus as well. I think
it's a nice little side.
Yeah, I think with some of these box sets, it's the other way around, unfortunately, where you got a strong, like, one disc, two-parter story, and then the main meat, your four-parter, is more iffy, And with that, it's you struggle to recommend it sometimes, even though you'd be missing out on a strong story. It's like you don't feel like overall you're getting your value for money. Here, Paradox of the Daleks alone is good value for money. Alongside that, you have the wonderful Dalby Spook as well, which very strong story for Helen in particular.
But you get a very strong, even stronger one later on in Connections. Yeah. But
I think it's wonderful. I suppose we should talk about this in terms of the relaunch, how it affected the Eighth Doctor, because he's now gone from these big 4-box sets epics to a more standalone story approach for a little while. How do you feel about that?
I think it's fine, to be honest. Because I think we run its course with the 4-box sets. They'd been going for 9 years. And I think with what they were doing with them, there's only so much time. The universe is ending by this massive threat. And, Stranded was the last sort of original bit you could do with it. So it was just nice to step away from that and have very much sort of standalone adventures with this TARDIS crew.
It's sort of bringing them back to traditional Doctor Who, which is something that Liv and Helen haven't necessarily gotten to experience. I think particularly with this new series style approach, they are going for the hour-long parts rather than splitting up into half-hour ones, which I think works for this era of the Eighth Doctor. This is very much the Eighth Doctor in the new series now. He has been since Lucy Miller, really.
Yeah.
It's all that bridge has fully been crossed at this point. He's got the leather jacket on as well, so he's fully channeling a new series Doctor here. And that all works wonderfully with these 2 box sets. I feel like the 4 box set story arcs hadn't necessarily run their course, but I think, better to change while you're ahead there. Don't get too complacent with it. And we can always return to things like that later on. But I mean, we've got more changes coming for the Eighth Doctor, haven't we? With Audacity.
That's meant to tie into Time War, isn't it, as well?
Not necessarily. I think that's
well, the characters, there's meant to be crossover, isn't there?
It's just the same actress.
And I thought David Richardson said there's going to be some link to it. So,
I mean, he said, but she was in Time War 4 as a different character, or Time War 5 rather. How does that work? So perhaps, but I mean, it's not like that character particularly stood out. Her on and a friend. There wasn't anything wrong with her in that box set. But I can't say I was looking at that character thinking, "Oh, there's something big that's going to come along here." With, the Eighth Doctor in future. I think it's more just a case of, "Oh, Paul got along really well with her. Let's make her a companion."
Yeah,
which I think is often the approach with Big Finish when it comes to companions, is that they'll find an actor who a certain Doctor is working well with, like Colin Baker and Miranda Raisin, or Tom Baker and Jane Slavin in particular, and they'll say, let's create a companion specifically for them.
Yeah.
Because, they want to use these actors a lot, but they don't want to necessarily be getting them in all the time for these different parts. So it's good to create a recurring character for them to play. I mean, now we're getting into
Christopher Naylor, a regular appearance in many Fourth Doctor, and become Harry. And here we have the Seventh Doctor teaming up with Harry and Naomi.
This is where the Seventh Doctor relaunch, I'd say, really feels like it's beginning now.
Yes.
Yeah. Although, again, for me, it's one of those sets, like we just mentioned, where the 2-parter is far superior to the 4-parter. But I think do you prefer the 2-parter, but nevertheless still quite like the 4-parter in this set?
Yeah, I'd say so. I like them both equally.
Okay. I'm still not too keen on London Orbital. Maybe I should revisit, because I did have a really good time with Far From Home, which we'll get to.
Yeah, maybe it'll enhance now you know where it's going. But yeah, I really like when sort of Doctor Who sort of taps into like folklore and fantasy. And yeah, it's just such cool imagery of like elves in like London. And
sort of tapping into a similar thing to the Trap Streets in Face the Raven, but doing a whole hidden worlds concept based on that.
And the way McCoy's revealed within the story feels very Seventh Doctor.
It's very much an older Seventh Doctor, isn't it? Because for the first part, it is mainly just Harry and Naomi. It's very much Harry and Naomi's story, really, with the Seventh Doctor dropping in and out from time to time.
Yeah.
Whereas Scream with the Daleks is just a fun Halloween story, really. It gets to delve into the history of Halloween, this wonderful whistle-stop tour of past Halloweens, while also having a fun little Dalek threat within it.
And McCoy sells with Daleks within it.
Yeah. I mean, November was a good month last year for the Daleks with this story and Paradox, and some wonderfully fun lines from the Daleks as well.
In both stories, yeah.
Do you think the Seventh Doctor, Harry and Naomi stories were planned Chris and Rod stories that were modified to have different characters? I don't think so, but I certainly feel that vibe. I think I mentioned in our Far From Home review that they very much fit that similar mold, where they feel like the Seventh Doctor's operatives in a way. They're very much a team with a mission in a lot of these stories. I mean, particularly Operation Dusk from Far From Home is where you get that vibe. But yeah, I don't feel like they were planning to do Chris and Roz stories and then change their mind. I feel like, sadly, they decided not to do Chris and Roz stories a while ago, which is a shame. And I hope they do go back to do more with them. But at least for now, we do have these in their place. But also, I feel like if we go back to them, it'll be in the 1 hour format.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe they'll turn up in The Last Day, since that's apparently meant to feature every Seventh Doctor companion.
Yeah.
We'll see if they live up to that promise. But no, I don't think that's where this came from. I think this was always planned to be Harry and Naomi.
Well, it clearly states really about the unit stuff.
I mean, not just that, but also when they mentioned the planning phase, they mentioned that, with Unit Nemesis, it was always intended that eventually another Doctor would come along and pick these two up. And then they just wound up on Seventh Doctor, really. But it's also wonderful just getting Harry interacting with more Doctors. We've got him in a Third Doctor story, even though he's not interacting with the Third Doctor there.
Well, you get it in Once and Future.
Yeah. And also, again, Once and Future, you got the Sixth Doctor, who he gets along. I mean, not quite gets along well with, but is an entertaining duo with, I suppose. For me, I'd say decent song, or 9 out of 10. Up to you.
I'd agree. Well, I think I prefer it to Silver and Ice. So I think
it's definitely a step up from Silver and Ice.
So I'll put it there.
Yeah. And then Connections now. Another solid box set, I'd say.
I feel like we have to do that.
Just to join. Yeah, go for it. Just to join them up.
Yeah, just join them up. Albie's Angels is so good.
Yeah, that's definitely the highlight of the set. But also, I don't think there's a dud either.
It's consistently good.
Yeah. I feel like we went in expecting the Love Vampires to perhaps be a dud. But no, that one delivers.
It's a very different vampire story.
Yeah. And then Here Lies Drax, perfect follow-up to Trouble with Drax. Matches that same energy, really.
Yeah, everything's flipped on its head. Everything you know, you don't really know. It's great.
Yeah. It's a hard story to talk about because if you've listened to Trouble with Drax, you know what kind of story that is. This continues in that vein. Nick Briggs said Rain isn't coming back in Vortex, so either he was misleading people or Big Finish are misleading people by saying every Seventh Doctor companion featured. Unless they just mean every TV companion, which is then just 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Rain's sort of tied up in other issues, isn't she, with Andrew Cartman and such.
Yeah. It's a shame, really.
But Demon Song now, we're getting into 2023.
Yeah.
With the relaunch. So we've had a whole year. And, I mean, looking at that spread, it seems to be pretty evenly matched. Certainly skews more towards the top than the bottom, doesn't it? Yeah. So, I mean, despite some misgivings we had early on, I think maybe 41 was a bit of a false start for the relaunch.
Yeah.
I think it did pretty well. It certainly played to its strengths, showed off that, hey, we can do these 6-parters now and 7-parters.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really delivered on those in particular. Hopefully, that's where the First Doctor will go next. Because, I feel like this isn't necessarily a step up from the Demon Song. The Outlaws.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Demon Song 2-parter is very strong. I had a lot of fun with that one.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful having the First Doctor and Dodo in our modern day world and exploring it as they would any other alien world in the 60s. There's a real joy at listening to that, and I feel like I could listen to a whole hour-long story of them just going around London, interacting,
navigating the tube and stuff.
Yeah, sort of, referring to mobile phones as like these little tellies everyone's got. Fun to be had like that throughout this story. You've got the First Doctor standing next to a Lego Death Star.
Yes.
Which there's something special about that image when you listen to this. I feel like it all just falls apart a little bit in the ending.
Yeah.
Where, it's very much like just
Shouty.
a gabble of sound, really. Characters around standing, shouting about what's going on as apparently these crazy things happen before our ears. But you don't really get to appreciate that. It feels like there's not too much urgency to the characters just because of how much dialogue there is to get through.
I mean, Lauren Cornelius, I think this is the best story for Dodo in any media. I would say.
Also just for Lauren Cornelius herself as well, getting to voice more than just
Dodo,
but also the demon when it's taking over her, and doing a wonderfully creepy performance there, which is something that we did overlook in our original review, just because you don't sort of associate those two together when you should. It sort of goes over your head a bit that she is also voicing that demon in those scenes as well. So yeah, an instant, I think just fine, really.
It's got a nice feel to it, I would say, atmosphere.
I think early on it does. It's an atmosphere that I particularly enjoy, a flavour of story.
Yes.
I quite like that Quatermass post-nuclear industrial gothic style. So I was looking forward to it for that, going into this post-war setting and having some hysteria.
The idea is great for it. The concept is great about finding alternate energy sources and stuff like that.
There's a particularly good speech from the First Doctor around part 4. But I feel like it suffers a lot in the execution. And again, it does hurt when it's a box set with a good 2-parter and a naff 4-parter, because then you feel like you can't recommend the box set as a whole, even if you like the 2-part. I'd say it's a decent song.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Now we get to a box set which really
stings.
Sit right.
It hurts.
Return of Jo Jones. After the Third Doctor Adventures went from strength to strength to strength, we got this box set. I mean, did you end up re-listening to Volume 1 of? Did you do both stories?
I only did Prisoners of the Lake.
Is it better than any story in this set?
Yes.
So would you feel confident in saying this is the worst set of the 11 Third Doctor Adventure sets we have so far?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I would say so.
I wanted to like it. I like the Conservators at least. I think that's an all right little story. But it's one of those ones that would easily be the weakest in another box set. It would just be like, the fine story in the middle. But the fact that it's just okay, and then you've got Supernature, which just does nothing for me. And the
Supernature just drags.
Yeah, the Iron Shore also drags quite a bit.
I mean, I like the Iron Shore. I think that's probably my second favorite. I think I probably got more out of it because I'm familiar with like the old Companion Chronicle format.
It does very much feel like a callback to that, doesn't it? You've got a bit of narration from Jo throughout.
It feels like it's a Companion Chronicle they had lying around, and they're like, "Lizzie, could you like just zhuzh it up a bit for full cast, really?" I think as well what stings as well, we've done older Jo twice now.
Or 3 times even.
Yeah, 3 times. Yeah, and I think it's just sort of, I don't want to say diminishing returns, but it's diminishing returns.
Yeah, that was certainly the first thing that popped into my head when you started that sentence. Trevor Hicks says, I think perhaps you lose the nostalgia factor with the return of Jo Jones, as it's a different Jo from the TV series. Yeah, they should have used the older Jo from Claws of Axos.
Yeah.
No.
I think that's a problem with it.
It struggles with identity, doesn't it?
Yes. is it trying to be Joe back in the Third Doctor's world, or is it the Third Doctor in Joe's contemporary world? Because the soundscape, you want it to be more, because there are hour-long stories, 2 parts, and you think, well, could we have like the sort of Sarah Jane sort of flair music to it to give that sort of
channel Death of the Doctor.
Yeah. Whereas it's sort of still trying to go, we're recreating the era, where this is not recreating the era because this wouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it loses so much of the heart of the Third Doctor era, really. There's some wonderful scenes between Tim and Joe. Or Tim and Katie, rather.
Yeah.
Third Doctor and Joe. Particularly in the conservatories, I think, is where they're at their strongest, because that is a story that is very much using the fact that it's Soldier Joe to its advantage.
Yeah, it's Joe leading the story, I would say.
Yeah, but I mean, is it deserves to be annihilated?
It's hard. It's hard because I don't know if I'd take it over Waterworld.
I think they're both on the same level. I'd say they're both far from the best.
Yeah, especially in Third Doctor terms, as you can see. You know,
I think that is what stings the most about this, the fact that it's such a fall from grace for the Third Doctor adventures at Big Finish, because they went from strength to strength to strength. It felt like there was constant improvement there.
It's the Jewel of the Crown, wasn't it? It was that sort of, it can do no wrong.
Yeah, and I'm still excited for all things Third Doctor adventures to come in terms of, Intelligence for War, whatever's next for Sadie Miller as Sarah. But we know there's more older Joe Odyssey, as they've called it, coming. I can't say I'm looking forward to that come October next year, presumably.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. But yeah, it's not off to a great start. It does feel very similar to Waterworlds in what has gone wrong with it, I guess. So it's a shame. It does feel wrong to be putting Third Doctor Adventures so far down on the list. And it won't be the last time we do it, because we'll have to do it again in the big 2023 tier list. But
yeah.
We can't help it. It doesn't do enough for us to go any higher.
Because we know what it's capable of. That's the thing. We know what this range is capable of, and that's, we're not going to lie to you.
Yeah. I can understand why they wanted to do an older Joe series, particularly with, Katie Manning herself not wanting to keep having to put on a younger voice for a prolonged period. I think it's great the way that Big Finish takes care of its contributors in that way.
Yes.
It's just a shame that it's resulted in something that we're not too keen on. I think it would have been wonderful to have just a single story, or just this a one box set at the end of Planet of the Spiders.
Yes.
Having a Third Doctor who's poisoned by radiation, who's on his way to his death alongside Sarah and the Brigadier. But has a bit of time for a farewell tour.
It's 25 years in the time vortex. So
yeah, according to what novel was that?
It's a short trips in, I think, the Time Trips book. I think it was done part of the 50th anniversary.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, if the 10th Doctor can do his farewell tour, Third Doctor deserves one as well. And I think having him meeting an older Joe to say goodbye would have felt right. And apparently it was at one point considered. That was what Supernature at one point was being written as by Matt Fitton, but then didn't go that way because they wanted to have this be a thing that's, I think, sadly going to end up being indefinite. I don't know if we will get a wrap up to this, because after older Perry, older Mel, I don't have any faith in Big Finish to wrap this up someday. So yeah, I think let's leave that behind us now. Return of Joe Jones. We'll have more opportunities to rant about it at a later date. I mean, I should revisit it to be fair to it, because as Kaleidoscope did improve on re-listen, but I just don't have the heart to.
Yeah, because you kind of put yourself off. I'm like that with past lives. I'm like, I really should, but then I remember why I've not done it.
Trevor Hicks says, I think Paul Cornell put it at 10 years. I can't remember which novel. No.
Okay.
There's convicting reports there. I suppose in the TARDIS, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. New Frontiers now. Let's finally some good food.
A good Fourth Doctor.
Yeah. It's wonderful in that it is 2 4-parters and neither of them are duds.
Yeah. Which is rare.
None of them are amazing either. They're not like the creme de la creme of the Fourth Doctor ventures, like Ravencliff Witch or Shell Shocker from last year. But at the same time, it's nice to have a bit of consistency here. And Margaret is wonderful, works very well with Leela. I think it really has made me appreciate Leela a lot more. Because
considering we're not a fan of the Leela series.
Yeah. For a while, it did seem like the Leela series were the main dud series. Whereas, Romana or Syndicate Master Plan, that was when it was the good Fourth Doctor times. Whereas Leela just felt like this is a filler series now while we wait for our new companion or whatever to actually be interesting.
Yeah.
But no, here, I think it's wonderful how they compare and contrast them and how you have different perspectives on the Doctor through them. You are quite a big fan of Ice Heist, aren't you?
Yeah, Ice Heist is one of my favourites of the year so far because I'm a huge fan of the Ice Warriors, and I always thought it was a missed opportunity that we never got a Fourth Doctor Ice Warrior story on TV.
And I think no big finish, but
yeah, and I think it was one of those stories where it was announced, God knows how many years ago, because we knew that the Ice Warriors and Weeping Angels were in this series for so many years.
And it was definitely announced before the pandemic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Before 2018 was when it
started. I'd say so.
2018 or 19.
And just sort of getting that buzz of finally experiencing it. And I think it delivers because it feels very evocative of the era. Guy Adams, I think he just gets a Fourth Doctor. I think this is, like I said in Dreams of Avarice, he gets a comedy. This, you get more of a snappier, I'm no nonsense Fourth Doctor, especially
channeling Seeds of Doom, isn't it?
Yeah, he's ready to snap people's necks, which is great.
Or he would be if he could get his arm around an Ice Warrior's neck.
Exactly.
I love the approach to honor within this story with the Ice Warriors.
Yes, and I think it's a new take on the Ice Warriors, isn't it? Really, because they're not really black and white villains, really. There's shades of grey to them, and I think this story sort of pencils in a few more shades to them.
Yeah, it does. It's a nice exploration of their race, really, and adds a different dimension to that. I'd say part 1's the weakest, funnily enough.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It's the reverse of the World Traders from Series 10 of the Fourth Doctor Adventures, also by Guy Adams, in that I feel like that had a really strong part 1, and then trailed off as it went along. This one, I was a bit worried after part 1, but then it all seemed to come together as the story went on. So, I'd say either the 9 out of 10 or the decent song.
I would say 9 because I think another one's gonna go up there. I would say.
Conflicts of interest now. This is another one similar
Stinks.
to Return of Joe Jones, but pains us quite a bit because we love this Doctor. We love what Big Finish have done with this Doctor. But yeah, it pained us quite a bit to just have something rather average for the Fifth Doctor.
Yeah.
Although Trevor Hicks has just left us a comment in the chat. Guys, I know you did not rate very highly Friendly Fire, but you really need to give it a second try. It's my favorite release of 2023 so far. It works for me as an excellent psychological drama.
I can see
Yeah, that's
that.
fair. Yeah.
I can see that.
I feel like it did have potential there. Maybe it is similar to Kaleidoscope in that it might improve on re-listen, knowing what it's going for.
And maybe
But
because we come off Aquitaine and Peterloo Massacre, because we listened to that in preparation for conflicts of interest, and obviously those are very high standard stories.
Yeah. I feel like what threw me with this box set was the three-parters.
Mm-hmm.
Even though initially being excited for that, I do really think this format has potential in that, you have your beginning, middle, and end very clearly laid out.
Yeah.
And you've also got an even split for the box set. You don't have your little 2-part bonus and then your main meat of a 4-parter. Instead, each story can stand on its own a bit more.
Yeah.
But with this, I feel like neither story really knew how to be a 3-parter. It felt like they were either struggling to be more than a 2-parter or less than a 4-parter.
Yeah.
And it also felt like they kept changing their minds halfway through as to which one they were struggling to be. Because these are two very strong concepts.
Yeah.
Edge of War, I was really surprised that I wasn't getting along with that one.
That was the one I was most excited for. But sadly, it just didn't really deliver.
No. I mean, there's a tier ready-made for this one. At least as we stand at the moment.
Yes.
Conflicted on. I mean, maybe we do have... Oh.
There we go.
Yeah, we do have In the Night coming up
in
September. So maybe Trevor...
We'll listen to it.
I will go back. Yeah. You tempted to as well.
I think so.
I'm more tempted to than Return of Joe Jones, at least. Because I do like some Fifth Doctor. So yeah, maybe at least before Ela, then, or before the end of the year, it'll be worth going back to this one just to see. Dragonbugs, I know I'm late in commenting, but I personally actually quite liked Return of Joe Jones. Sure, nothing spectacular, but a nice, fun set. Trevor Hicks says, good to hear.
I mean, everyone has, everyone's a fan of something, and we're not here to take that away from you.
No. I feel hurt by places the Fifth Doctor Big Finish set so low. No, sorry, Daniel.
It's just our opinion. We're not.
It hurts us as well that Fifth Doctor's going that low. Like, we love Fifth Doctor. Again, another Jewel in the Crown range, and hopefully, In the Night is a return to form for that. I mean, Tim Foley's writing a 4-parter, so I'm excited. It's not knocked my excitement for this range, really. So yeah, it's got that going for it at least. Now we get to Sixth Doctor.
Take it away.
I mean, do you want to have a quick chat about Broadway Belongs to Me? Because you did listen to that. What made you stop listening to the set after that then?
What was coming out at the time?
Was it quite a busy time? I mean, it's May, so
yeah, May was quite.
You'd have Fourth Doctor on the horizon.
Ninth Doctor. Past Lives.
Dalek's Genesis of Terror.
Yeah, that probably took precedent over. It was a busy month. It was a busy 2 months, and it's easy. And I sidetrack things, and I have a terrible habit of starting stuff and not finishing.
I mean, I've done that with War Doctor.
Yeah. Because you just get in the mood for when Big Finish drops, and you're like, I want to listen to that now. And if you're in the mood for it, you might want to listen to it while you're in that mindset.
You did say you were in a Sixth Doctor mood earlier.
I am, but I'm not feeling.
You are planning to stick on Attack of the Cybermen after this.
Yeah, I'm not really feeling.
Or are you leaning more towards 42 now?
42 probably at the minute. 42.
Okay.
But yeah. I tried listening to the second story last week.
I think, is it Time? No, Time Burst's the third story. That's by I think it's Pursuit or something, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's by Chris Chapman. What's it called? Purification. There we go. It's all like a chase through history with Patricia McBride.
But I went for a Ninth Doctor instead. After your glowing review of Travelling Hope.
I think that's understandable. Yeah, I mean, Broadway belongs to me is. I mean, you always say Matthew Sweet's an acquired taste.
Yeah, and I think you'll enjoy it if you're a fan of musicals because it's got all the tropes in there.
Yeah, it's wonderful having Mel, played by Bonnie Langford, being a character who detests musicals and is cringing out the whole time.
Yeah.
But I think it's wonderful how, despite it being a sidestep from the main arc, it nevertheless ties in with the thematics of the overarching story.
I like the villains, the reveal.
Tackling eugenics and fascism within this. And how comfortable it was in America at the time. And the fact that mirroring that with things going on in today's world, how comfortable some societies still are with fascists. And sort of, this tolerance of people who are intolerant, which is quite a scary thing to consider. And it's wonderful that this calls that out. And yeah, it is quite funny where it leads with the plot of the villains within this story. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But I will say it is the weakest of the set. I think it does improve as it goes along. And Time Burst by Ian Potter is the crown of this set. I think it might be my favourite of the Sixth Doctor Adventures run so far with Mo and Hebe. I think that is something really special. It feels right for the Sixth Doctor. He fits in very well in, the Industrial Revolution era. It feels like it is channeling some similar themes to Paul Marx's Peterloo Massacre. Okay, it's also dealing with a real life tragedy as well in that era. So I feel like it's one you would enjoy.
I probably would. I mean, I've still got it downloaded with the weird watch icon.
Oh yeah.
I'll see if I can load it up actually.
Yeah. Which people thought might have been intentional because I was like Time Burst being the title. But no, I think wasn't that just a random picture from
don't know if you could see.
You could tell it's something different. But yeah. I'm making out a bit more now.
There we go.
Yeah, that's coming to focus now. Which was bizarre. People were a bit confused by that, but no, that was an error. Oh
yeah.
Yeah, I'd give this one the 9 out of 10.
Okay. That's quite the jump.
Yeah. I was considering decent song, but looking at
what's in it,
I think looking at particularly New Frontiers for me, I'd say it's on par with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think something like Kaleidoscope and Sullivan and Cross. Well, not even Sullivan. Maybe just Kaleidoscope actually is the only thing I'd consider clearly better than this. I think the other ones, they're all pretty much a par. But here we come to something really special with Angels and Demons. 4 stories, 10 parts.
Yes.
And it's also a proper series for the Fourth Doctor Adventures, as there is very much, consequences to stories, particularly when it comes to Margaret throughout this set and throughout this series, really. It's such a consistent series overall.
Most consistent?
Of the Fourth Doctor Adventures, very probably. Yeah, definitely, actually.
Like Series 5 comes close, but you've got the finale, which is take or leave it.
Yeah. But whereas with this one, I think for me it improves story to story. I think you don't quite agree, do you? I think it peaks for you with Stone Cold.
Yeah, peaks there.
I think Ghost of Margaret edges out Stone Cold Just. But...
See, I'm just a sucker for like traditional Fourth Doctor 4-part gothic horror, Hinchcliffe stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's Fourth Doctor for me, and that's why I
this
got my
channels
kick.
that in a different way, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it channels more of the Robots of Death style storytelling, which is wonderful.
Yeah, it subverts what you expect a Fourth Doctor Hinchcliffe Weeping Angel story would be. Without the big manor house or graveyards. It doesn't fall down those sort of trappings.
Who Small Collection has joined us. Yo-Yo just got out from work. How are we doing?
Hello.
I hope you had a good day at work, Hoovian.
Yeah, I hope it went all right.
I'm doing all right. How about you, Ben?
I'm all right.
Hanging on in there.
I feel myself drifting a little bit.
Yeah, because you're going to be going into work tomorrow, aren't you? Sadly,
Yeah.
You had a couple of days off, but we're coming to an end now.
Coming to an end, and then it's holiday time.
We're coming to an end as well. We've just got
we're getting there
to put on this tier list, and then we can wrap things up and say our goodbyes. So yeah, Angels and Demons. 41 out of 42.
Yeah, easy.
Really strong.
Easy.
Fourth Doctor box set.
I think it could possibly be my favourite release of the year.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
No. It's a shame you hadn't finished it by the time we did our top 5.
Yeah, because I think it would be there. I think it would be there.
Yeah. Beating out Diary of River Song, Friend of the Family.
I don't. I feel like I need to listen to both again.
I suppose the nostalgia sort of pushes you more with it,
Tom
as well, because it's Tom.
Just purely on Doctor Who stuff, it's number 1. But River's kind of her own entity, isn't she? Really.
Yeah, and Friend of the Family is something else entirely.
Yeah,
that's on its own playing field. Stylish one says, another hot take since Series 12 got very mixed reviews overall and seems to be one of the less fondly reviewed Fourth Doctor Adventure series. Well, what today,
Exactly. We are the oracles of Big Finish. We are the Big Finish fans.
We're the font of knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm surprised by that, though. Because I do feel like it's
pretty good. It's a good series.
Wizard of Time is a weird one. I can see that not gelling with some people, but I like what it's going for.
Mm-hmm.
I think, what was Chris Chapman's one? Friendly Invasion. That was probably the one you're least fond of, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like I need to go back to that one.
Yeah, but I think it certainly has its ups and downs, but it comes to a beautiful conclusion with that final scene. Chris Chapman recently put out a very interesting thread about, the origins of that story, him sitting in the pub in Oldbourne and, looking at the, what's that company called? It's Dainty Company in this story, but they're inspired by a real life group of American GIs back home, who then went on to inspire the Band of Brothers. Was it Band of Brothers? I think it's Band of Brothers.
Yeah, I think so. That rings a bell.
Or I can't remember what the real name of that company is, sadly. But yeah, it's wonderful. Worth looking up that little thread from Chris Chapman about the origins of this story and that how it began and how it changed as it went through the process of being written. But anyway, Far From Home now. A surprise.
Yeah, we covered this recently.
Yeah. I think that's what we can afford to be brief with this one. We've done a whole video on it. I spoke about it when we did our top 5 of the year so far. So that sort of shows you how I feel about this one. And you stuck Operation Dusk as an honorable mention, didn't you? At the time?
Yeah, because that's the only one I'd listened to at the time. Yeah, and that's really good.
Did you prefer Operation Dusk in the end?
I think so.
Yeah,
because it's sort of how I'd like my Seventh Doctor stories.
Yeah, I usually do lean more towards that style. Again, it's sort of similar to the Demon, not the Demon Song, the Interesting Incident, isn't it? We like that era of storytelling.
Yeah.
But no, for me, Naomi's arc did edge it out. but it was just two very strong stories, and they both feel so comfortable as 3-parters. I don't feel robbed or like they were stretched at all. So, is he a 9 out of 10 or 41 out of 42? I feel like it's a step up from Sullivan and Crossday, so I want to put it top.
Yeah, go on. There we go. Who would have thought it? McCoy in a top tier.
Hoover Small Collection said, glad to see what lies inside and connections together. Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it? How they join up. Yeah. It'd be criminal not to.
Well, I think it's more like on the tier list as well, but we had to put them together.
And it's also just a strong run of 6 stories. The fact that it came out back to back as well, like 1 month after the other, helped really just make it. It made you feel like you had a little 8th Doctor miniseries at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get that same quality again at the end of this year. Sam says, I just watched a bit of An Adventure in Space and Time, and it reminded me, if it wasn't for the Daleks, Doctor Who wouldn't even be around today, which feels weird. That is crazy. Maybe I need to go back to Adventure in Space and Time, particularly before.
I was thinking about doing videos dedicated about like anniversaries and how the show was celebrated. So maybe we could do like a video giving memories on the 50th, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah. I will say Rivers will meet the 9th Doctor on Big Finish soon, as that will help the range. Says Daniel Hager. I hope so. But maybe the range doesn't need help now. Maybe we are born again 9th Doctor mega fans.
Yeah.
And so far, my faves of the relaunch have got to be either the 8th Doctor stuff or the 1st Doctor stuff, says Hoover's Small Collection.
Where are you at with your marathon? Let us know.
I think from what I saw on Twitter, they've gotten up to around May.
Okay.
Of this year, perhaps June now.
So
yeah, do let us know.
They are not far behind.
Yeah. Dragonbugs says, I loved James Robert McCrimmon set so much. It used to be on War Games themes so well, in my opinion, for the set as a whole. Well, that.
Good night, guys. It's been lovely speaking to you. See you soon. Bye.
Was not keen on this one, to be honest. Came in with hope, but the first story really wore me down. Jamie was.
I liked the first story. I'll be honest.
I wasn't too keen.
I like the setting of Edinburgh.
I wish it had done more with that though. Like, I think Fraser's got a lot to do in it.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like Jamie has, weirdly enough. I feel like it's very light on character for him. It just feels like it's there to facilitate that meeting and that memory thing, rather than actually tell an interesting story.
I like the holowraiths. They're cool.
Yeah. A nice concept. I just feel like it's more down to the execution of it all.
Yeah.
Struggles for me.
And you think there's going to be repercussions from Culloden, and nothing really comes of that?
There's a lot of weird stuff going on in this. It's a lot of just noise, really. I think is the best way to sum it up.
I'll be honest, I think I prefer City of Spires. Again, I think it's diminishing returns for old Jamie.
Yeah. I mean, it feels weird that it is older Jamie.
You look at that cover, then you look at the Annihilators, and you think, crikey, they've done Fraser Hines really dirty there.
And especially when the stories never really do too much with that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we will do a full review of this set, won't we, to really break down our issues with it. Green Man is my favorite. I get the scenes, but it does feel like it's in that same Return of Joe Jones rut of this weird, like you say, diminishing returns of bringing back character. It feels like we've done it with so many companions now as well. It's just getting a bit tired. And, I don't feel like the overarching story with Raven and everything is doing anything for me. I feel like it's dragging the stories down half the time.
I don't know what Raven's character is. Is she trying to be like menacing or seducing? I don't know where we stand with that.
Yeah, I feel like she feels misjudged the character, and I feel like I'd prefer it if she just wasn't there at all, and it was more like the Annihilators, where the Time Lords were more unseen figures pulling the strings in the shadows. Whereas this set is very much big on Raven. It's like, oh, we love Raven, we're going to throw her into every story and use her a lot more. And I'm just there like, I just want my second Doctor and Jamie.
I think that's the thing, because even the characters are going, God, we're fed up of doing these missions. Can we have a holiday? And you're like, crikey.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that this format has become so stale so quickly.
Yeah.
It's like, how? You're only a couple of stories into it. How is it already this stale? I mean, I thought the best thing about the Green Man is that it gets to be full on second Doctor and Jamie. You get Michael and Fraser bouncing off each other constantly. They are always either in the same room together or on the radio to each other. They are carrying that. And you've also got a brilliant villain in there as well.
Yeah, it's very sort of Alfred Hitchcock inspired.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong story. But yeah, overall, I'm worried about the second Doctor Adventures, and we will do a full review diving into our concerns and problems with this set. But for now, conflicted on or far from the best. Where are you gonna put
I think there's potential there. But I can't say. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I sort of just want to be done with Beyond War Games stuff and just have.
I think if we knew where it was going,
yeah,
if we knew how many box sets we've got, maybe we'll appreciate it. But it's because we're on that unknown quantity, and it's the only one set a year. It makes it sting even more, I guess. Because you look forward to it. You think, oh, great, we're getting season 6B, and then you listen to it and you think, okay, I'm kind of you think we're just doing standard second Doctor and Jamie now.
Yeah, really. It just makes me long for classic second Doctor stories, really.
Yeah,
like, I feel like they're not doing enough with the Beyond War Games thing. Like, immediately throwing Jamie back in there, as nice as it is, as much as I liked what they did with it in the Annihilators, I just feel like, if you want your second Doctor and Jamie, I mean, Nick Briggs even said in the Exorcist he can't imagine the second Doctor without Jamie. It's like, then why did you do second Doctor without? Why did you follow on from that? Why not just do what Big Finish does with pretty much every other range and tell these stories within the era, like you were doing with the early adventures?
I mean, your favourite second Doctor story this year is the Dying Star, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Dead Star, that's it.
Dead Star, that's it, yeah.
Which, set between Power of the Daleks and the Highlanders. So, yeah, why can't we just have that? I mean, apparently Wendy's been recording anyway. But it's
so we're going to get older Zoe and Jamie together, and you think then that's going to sting even more. Going, well, can't we just have,
Yeah, if you're going to carry this on after the end of season 6, but just have it basically be, the season 6 crew, why not just do season 6 stories?
And the thing is, we've done Zoe's memories in the Companion Chronicles. It feels like they're utilizing the Companion Chronicle ideas and putting them in full cast now because they can do them in full cast.
Yeah.
It seems the direction they're going with these things.
Yeah, I'm worried about second Doctor, to be honest. And I feel it's a shame because he is my favourite Doctor. But
you wouldn't think it.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it because all I ever seem to do about second Doctor content, like, animations and this series, I mean, dead start. Have praised that
Yeah,
at
true.
every opportunity I've gotten. Put it on my top 5 of the year. I'm just waiting for you to listen to that as well, so we could do an audio novels video, and then
that's true.
we can both praise it together. Hopefully.
Yeah. Imagine if I hate it.
Oh dear. I don't think you will.
No.
I mean, where are you leaning towards?
I feel conflicted.
I think I'll go for that. I think it is better than Joe Jones and Waterworlds.
There we go.
No, there we have it. Or do we put Waterworlds and Joe Jones down at the bottom and Second Doctor down one? Because I do feel like everything else in that tier is better than Second Doctor. Just so that we've then
go on then. There we go.
We've then got a scale of from worst to best of the relaunch.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's ultimately what the bottom tier is there for the worst of this. So yeah, I think that's a good distribution there. And I mean, rather top heavy as well,
which is nice. Yeah.
I'm just staring at the fact that we've got What Lies Inside and Connections lined up.
I feel like you've got to though. I feel like you have to.
No, Waterworlds, the Super Useful Collection. Sorry, but something's got to be at the bottom.
And that's just not it, Chief.
Yeah, I mean, I did see the chat pop up a bit while we were complaining about Jamie, so sorry to anyone there. Daniel Hager said, "I'm sad to say this. I'm starting to hate season 6B. It's like I'm not even against the concept.
No, I like it. That's the idea.
I think there has been some good stuff done with it, like the Annihilators. Like that wouldn't really work if it wasn't a season 6B story for the Second Doctor. But at the same time, I just don't like, it's annoying. The more you peel away the mystery of it, the less enticing it becomes. I think what works so well in Annihilators is that it is still a mystery then.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the problems with listening to the Jamie box set as well, was that I was just sat the whole time thinking, I'd rather be listening to the Annihilators right now.
We even get a flashback in the Green Man, you're like,
I
should stick on the Annihilators, should I?
It's calling you to do that rather than enjoy this. And so I feel like there is still hope, because we did have the Annihilators. So we know they can do stuff with this, but changes have to be made. Starshman says, I'd rather have season 6B stories over season 6 stories, since season 6 doesn't have a distinct style and isn't very good. I mean, it doesn't have a distinct style, to be fair, but I think there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's the variety season for the Sixth Doctor, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sort of Sixth Doctor?
Second
Doctor. Sixth season.
Yeah.
I feel like it's closest to season 2, really, in that respect. Yeah, and I think it's a nice sort of callback to early on. It feels like it's trying to break free of the rut Doctor Who got itself into with Base Under Siege. It's sort of like saying, wait, no, we can do other stories.
Yeah.
Dragonbird says, the thing with season 6B, though, is that we don't know how long it'll be, so I think it's too early to judge it as a whole. Yeah, that's true. I mean, things can improve when you know where they're going, like I've experienced with the Sixth Doctor. So I'm not writing it off completely. Already pre-ordered the next set, so I'm in it for the long haul.
We're in it.
But it's also just the case, since it is one box set a year, how long do we have to wait for that payoff?
Yeah,
if there is one. Second Doctor Ben and Polling is an underrated team. Agreed. Great show as always, guys. Thank you, Trevor Hicks.
Thank you.
Starch one says season 6B has potential, which Big Finish would have really utilized years ago before they became so complacent and don't really innovate. Oof. Harsh words. I'm not saying I disagree, but harsh words. I'm not saying I agree either, but harsh words. Thoughts on the series 1 to 4 box set?
We've got a
check out
video
our
covering it. We've got a video covering it, so it's fine. It's out now. So enjoy.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah, go check that out after we wrap this up in a minute.
Mm.
I mean, I'm certainly not someone who picks up much new series, physical media, but I may get this. Maybe it's a Christmas present. We'll see.
Yeah.
Put Ninth Doctor in his own arc. That would be nice.
Would. I think that's the next step for him.
Yeah, that's what Eccleston needs. Huvian says, kind of hope they get rid of Jamie and we have a Second and Zoe team, because to be honest, Second and Zoe would be a killer duo. They're wonderful together in the Crotons, particularly, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm
They
watching
spend
the
a lot of
Crotons
time
at the minute.
getting along well. Oh, are you? In preparation for River Song?
Yeah, well, kind of because I've not seen it for about 11 years.
Yeah, I need to rewatch it.
I mean, if you look on the photo I sent in the group chat, you'll just make out the DVD.
Is it sat there with the others?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely stick that on before River Song comes around as a little refresher.
Yeah, it's interesting how quickly it blows its load. Same with like the Dominators, how you're just like, this is part 1 already. This is how we're finishing part 1, and it feels like it's part 3.
Wow. I mean, for me, my ideal Beyond War Games series duo would be the Second Doctor teaming up with Van Travis.
Oh yeah, very nice.
That's a way you can use the fact that you're going beyond the TV era while still feeling true to the TV era, because they're such a great duo in the Web.
Second Doctor and his hoe.
There's definitely a bit of a flirtation there, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, that was what Patrick wanted, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was ahead of his time. He would have loved RTD.
Oh dear.
But yeah, I would have. Yeah, I think that could have been an interesting direction to go in.
Yeah.
My favorite Second Doctor duo is Jamie and Victoria, though Victoria would need a recast, sadly. Yeah, I don't know if Big Finish are quite ready for that yet. I think it's still too recent, really. Particularly because of like the nature of, the Second Doctor era, I feel like Victoria and Zoe are somewhat interchangeable.
Yeah,
like,
I can see that.
Yeah, but obviously they are vastly different characters, and certain stories like the Crotons do use Zoe really well. But I feel like you wouldn't lose much if you were to take a story originally planned for Victoria and shift it over to Zoe instead. Like, that lost story, potential lost story, I should say. What was it? Operation Werewolf. I think, even though that was pitched as a Victoria, Jamie, and Second Doctor story, you could easily have it be a Zoe story instead on Big Finish, rather than having to recast Victoria. And for my marathon, I have 36 stories left. Recently just finished everyone's favorite Dalek, Genesis of Terror. Wasn't for me personally. It also means I have finally started Once a Future with Past Lives. Oh, yeah, you're definitely catching up now, Huvian. Hopefully Once a Future works better for you than it has for us.
Yeah, probably the next time we speak, you'll probably be finished.
Wow. Yeah,
be up to date.
Great stream, guys. Thank you, Daniel Hager.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, the chat's popping off a bit, actually. So, it really is. Thank you for being so engaged, guys.
Yeah, and if you've enjoyed the stream, leave a like. And if you're new around here, subscribe. Do all that stuff.
All you lovely workers. Lurkers. You're
lurkers.
not workers. Listening to us is not hard work. Even though we come out with some hot takes from time to time. Hopefully you don't get too aggravated with us. I think, Stage, when you are a bit aggravated with me at the moment for my Jamie and Zoe comments, or Zoe and Victoria comments. Yeah. But it's more so in terms of the attitude that the scripts had at the time.
Yeah.
And, I mean, certainly when it comes to like Ben and Jamie, like when Jamie first came along, he was just ending up with a lot of Ben's lines, for example. It's like that attitude, really. Ben doing a Crotons timeline marathon. Yeah, you're going to do a Return of the Crotons after that.
I mean, I've never listened to it, so I might, you know.
Have you got it?
Yeah, I've got it.
Ah.
I might do a Croton tier list video.
You could do.
What's the best Croton story?
Yeah. Is it only 3 stories for them? Did they ever turn up anywhere else?
They've got Alien Bodies.
A
book.
Have you read it?
No.
Would you read it?
Yeah, because it's meant to be really good.
There you go. I don't mind the current direction of Big Finish, this Dragon Bugs, but I do also really miss the arcs. Yeah, I think there's room for both, especially with the output that Big Finish has at the moment. I think they need to work out a way to make it clear what the arcs are on the website. Like,
how long for?
Yeah. I think that is sort of like one of the problems at the moment with them removing the numbering on the website. Which is odd because it's on the spines, but then you go to the website and you look at Purity Unleashed and it doesn't have the number 3 anywhere.
Yeah,
it's like never said, like they used to do for the 4th Doctor and 8th Doctor Ventures when it was a 2-disc story. They'd say this story follows on from this one. I think they need to start doing that with some of these box sets. I mean, things like 41 and 42 rather self-explanatory, but there's other box sets that struggle a bit. Did you see the DWM Once a Future leak? No.
I mean, I've not got DWM yet, so I can't say. Wow. No, it's not arrived.
You got to chase them down for that. Heresy Luke, they are completely different. Name one Victorious story that would have Zoe. Tomb, Ice Warriors, Enemy. They're all really tied her so well. Yeah, they could have worked with Zoe.
Oh dear.
What was the Once and Future League arts? Jack Richardson. Yes, we agree.
Oh, DWM confirmed in the preview that the next Once and Future is the 8th Doctor degenerating. Which I don't really think that's a leak, to be honest.
That's where it was mentioned somewhere in the podcast as well. I mean, it's something that I feel like Big Finish just took for granted that we all knew, but never actually expected. Does it feel like it's a plot point that's hidden? It just feels like it's poorly communicated.
Like to be honest, the whole Doctor and their outfits as well, I would say.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of Once a Future is less mystery, more just poor communication. Whovismal Collection says, so hyped for the Underwater Menace animation.
I guess we'll do an updated tier list.
Yeah.
As well for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be something to get around to. Jack Richardson. Could this be a pseudonym for David Richardson? Were you asking about the Once a Future leak because you want to plug it?
Yeah.
And Jake and Jack. Thank you for popping into the chat.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Hope you're enjoying.
Good to see new faces. New names.
Always wonderful seeing the same old names as well.
Oh, yeah. Grizzled ancients and lurkers alike.
I like that we've got a little community that's come together here.
We like our community here.
Yeah. Dragonmug says Victoria is so underrated, in my opinion.
I agree.
She is one of those ones who gets an undue amount of hate, isn't she?
She gets sort of bundled into the stereotypical Who girl.
Yeah, like the screamer.
Yeah.
But I think it is interesting to have a companion who doesn't necessarily want to be a companion, but just has nowhere else to go, really. I think that's an interesting approach. And it's something that would be nice in a new series, but they can't really do because the Doctor can pilot the TARDIS now.
Yes.
It's something that only really worked at, early on in the show when it was completely random where they were going to end up next. And I think that's something I kind of miss in a way.
Yeah.
I think it made for some interesting storytelling with Barbara and Ian, how they were unwilling travelers, but reveled in it, but then took the first opportunity they could to go home. Whereas you have others like Jamie who can't imagine a life beyond this, really. So yeah, I would feel like it would have been wrong to write out Jamie any other way than losing his memories, really. Because you can't imagine him choosing to leave the Second Doctor's side for any reason.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if he met a beautiful lassie who he wanted to settle down with, he wouldn't settle down with her. He'd just drag her along with.
Hey, come here with me in this box.
And if she refused, he'd put her over his leg and larrup her.
Creatura. Come on.
He's a man from the 18th century. Or is it? Yeah. It's 18th, isn't it?
Yeah. It's 1700s, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
So it's all right.
I'm sure it was 1700s or 1800s.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, yeah. It's funny, like, actually, talking about Jamie, it's got me thinking about the Phantom Piper from the Second Doctor Companion Chronicles Volume 3. Yeah. You never got around to that one, did you?
No, I've not got around to it, no.
It's because, I mean, one of the things we have said about the Second Doctor Adventures, James Recruitment, is that it almost feels like a Companion Chronicles set.
Yeah.
The two-parters. But I feel like the Companion Chronicles, that's almost a disservice to them, because even later on when we were less keen, I feel like they were doing stronger stuff than Second Doctor Adventures currently is. And yeah, Phantom Piper is a strong example of that. Yeah. Sam says, I mean, her house blew up and her father died, so off to other planets, I guess. I mean, she was also on Skaro at that point as well. So
yeah.
With no easy way back with the Dalek City exploding, it's either go with them or be left there. I mean, is that us done for tonight?
I think it is. I think we've covered everything. We've done the relaunch so far. Spoke to the lovely people in the chat.
You need to sleep.
I need my sleep because I'm slowly drifting.
It's been a fun one. It was sort of a last minute one we came up with, but hopefully it's one that you've all enjoyed. It seemed like the right time to take a stop and look back at where the relaunch has taken us so far. Because I mean, I feel like the relaunch is quite personal to us as a duo, because it started to come along at the same time we really started to come together with these streams.
Yeah, that's true.
Back, funnily enough. And now we're doing them on a fairly regular basis. I mean, hopefully we're able to stick with our 52 streams this year. May have a bit of catching up to do over the next month or so. But
I think, we'll make up for it with other content.
Yeah, we're starting to do a bit more pre-recording now. So, less waffle, more getting straight to the point in those videos. So hopefully you enjoy those.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's waffle and tangents to come as well. But yeah, I suppose that's all. That is something we've discussed about perhaps shifting more towards that style of content in future.
Yeah, maybe streams become fortnightly or something. But I think this year we definitely want to do as many streams as we can.
Yeah, we set that challenge for ourselves. So I think, we got to see it through and then take a step back come January and see what lies in store for the future of the channel.
Yeah. YouTube's a funny beast at the minute. And it's just trying to work out what's best.
We're playing cat and mouse with the algorithm, aren't we?
Yeah, because you've got to kind of treat it a bit businessy, going what works, what doesn't. I know.
Yeah, and it's weird how sometimes things take off that you wouldn't have expected.
Yeah.
And then other things which you're really hyped for just flop. And it can be a bit, disheartening when something you put a lot of time and effort into doesn't necessarily bang that much with the views.
Mhm.
And then something that, you quickly record after a news announcement.
Yeah.
It's still very exciting to know that it's doing well, that people care about our opinions on that after an announcement. But nevertheless, you can't help but think, that's pretty quick and easy content. And yet that's
which
the
is
thing that's
bad, really.
yeah. Yeah, because Regeneration Advent Calendar, something we're very proud of. But yeah, it didn't necessarily
go down as what we expected it to.
Yeah. I mean, thank you to all those who did watch through hours and hours and hours of us chatting about classic and new Who, all these regeneration stories. And yeah, we do have something similar planned for this year, a bit small scale. And hopefully we are able to take lessons from that as well. We learn and adapt our approach, see what worked, what didn't, and go.
It's all a learning process, and we don't have the answers.
And
if we had the
YouTube
answers, we'd be all right.
constantly evolving, isn't it? In terms of what works, what doesn't, what appeases the algorithm, what people want to see. And so the answers are constantly changing as well.
We have ideas of what content we want to make, but the algorithm doesn't want to make the content we want it to,
Yeah. Sometimes you sadly have to go a bit more clickbaity than you may like in order to get people to actually watch what you're doing.
But the content's not clickbaity, so it's fine. It's all right.
Yeah. There's like a difference between full-on clickbait and, just, I suppose, a bit more just snazzy titling and thumbnailing, isn't it?
Yeah, really? I think that's what it is. It's if you call it a review, it's not that snazzy. But if you put some keywords in there or colorful language,
it's similar to what Big Finish did with their relaunch, giving each box set its own title as opposed to simply calling it this volume 1. We're constantly shifting our approach, really. And I mean, as we say, we did a lot of pre-recording yesterday, so you'll see what we've got to come in the
really good stuff.
Yeah,
really
I'm proud
good
of
stuff.
it. Hopefully, really you all enjoy. Trevor Hicks asks, any chance of releasing the show as a podcast, guys? This is something you were particularly with the Regeneration Advent Calendar. You said that was something you might look into.
I think that's the direction I want to take this, because I've always called these podcasts.
Yeah, and particularly maybe less so with the tier list ones.
Yeah,
because that does require a visual element, particularly those ones we've done with Stephen Noonan.
Yeah,
those are much more like podcasts, really.
Yeah, they're things you stick on in the background when you're doing your jobs. And I think that's the way going forward. I think that's the direction, like the regeneration, something like the regeneration Advent sort of style, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's certainly what YouTube is almost against, isn't it? YouTube doesn't like pushing these longer videos. YouTube's all about the shorter, the instant gratification videos.
It's that TikTok thing, isn't it, really?
It's a trend with the internet in general, isn't it? And attention.
Yeah.
So I think maybe getting these out as podcasts elsewhere is something that could be beneficial, but still having them on YouTube as well, because this is where we built this community of all you wonderful people. So we don't want to say goodbye to that, but perhaps we'd find a new audience.
I think probably see this year out as we are, and then come back in January, and hopefully we'll have a rebrand and a relaunch of ourselves, I guess. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, but so we're not going anywhere. We're not taking a step back from the internet at all, but we are reconsidering how we approach YouTube, I guess.
Yeah. because it's an evolution. I like to think that we've evolved since doing these. Yeah.
But I mean, all of that to come in the future. I look forward to some pre-recorded content soon. Another stream will be coming August 31st, I think, should be our next one.
Yeah. We're going on holiday.
Yeah, you're having a much-needed break, aren't you?
I'm having a much-needed break, but there's still content coming. Like I say, pre-records. There's some stuff I've done by myself.
It does exist without me.
It does. Yeah, so it might be weird when you get videos without League, or whatever. But yeah, they're all coming up.
Plenty of stuff to look forward to.
I just want to say, because one of them I'm really proud of.
I mean, I think you can say it now. Since we've got it in the can.
Yeah.
It's a bit different when we're saying, oh, we want to do this. Yeah. And then we take ages to actually get around to recording it. I mean, there's something that we've been talking about for ages that we finally recorded. And then there's other things that we just sort of came up with more or less on the spot and then recorded. But yeah, I mean, say which one you're excited about.
We've done a video dedicated about Big Finish physical media. And it's an interesting chat about the future of CDs and what place they play in future Big Finish, because I think that's been a concern with CD orders being delayed, especially with like the once and future stuff. So I think it's quite a topical thing to talk about.
Yeah, I'm proud of how that one turned out.
And how our collecting habits have shifted since when we started listening to Big Finish, 10 years ago. So it's all good.
Hopefully you'll all enjoy that when it comes along. And I mean, that's just going to be one of those interesting ones to see. Will it bang? Will loads of people be interested in it, or will it be somewhat more niche? Time will tell.
Yeah.
But until then, Ben needs his sleep. So.
I do.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Thank you all for watching. Take good care of yourselves. We'll be back to talk about Sixth Doctor and Perry for a throwback Thursday on August 31st. Until then, goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, and have a pleasant night and a lovely weekend.
Yeah, once and future twos.